Drivers, to your cars.
Drivers, start your engines!
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our 2021 edition of the NNSCRA Hallowdega. My name is Andy McCurry. Alongside me is Scott Rankin. Scott, it is easy. These guys are set to go off on a special event, the NNSCRA Hallowdega event. It's been an event for a number of years now. I think about 5 to 6 years now. And every time that we come to this track, it's a custom-made track. It just ramps up the intensity, and I don't think there's going to be anything different here tonight. It's Talladega with a twist. Everything's a little bit scarier. Everything's a bit more in the way of it's just an interesting feel here tonight. What do these drivers have to do if they want to get around this track?
Yeah, look, I mean, this is, to be perfectly honest with you, this is my first time on NL 2003. I've heard a lot about it, and, you know, I was looking forward to the opportunity that we've got presenting itself in front of us here this evening. The thing is, it's a different platform for me, it's a different feeling, but these drivers, they know what they're doing, they know what they're trying to do, and the best part about all of it is have a look at the spook fest that's going on right around the track. This is mint condition, original funsies style stuff, and I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely, we're here again. This is the 2021 edition of Hallowdega. It's a tradition that's gone back as far as 2015, and these drivers are set on to put us for another show here tonight. Past winners of this race, there's a number of them, but there are only 2 of them that are in the field, so we'll have to see if somebody can write their name in history books and become a first-time winner to have a repeat winner this time around. So as far as starting lineup, if you're new to the Hallowdega special event or to the NNSCRA special events in general, this is not the start of the race. What they're doing is they're taking a parade lap. The top 2 drivers that you see on your screen are actually the starting lineup in their correct positions. That's going to be Jovan Anderson and Josh Metallic, both respectively. Everyone else behind them are going to line up in the order in which they qualified last Wednesday, I believe it was. So they will be lining up to take their starting positions. Your starting positions up through the field are going to be Grant Wesley, Andrew Lemke, Greg Lavelle, Jessica Shelton, who's had some good success at this race. We'll see if she can get back into the swing of things. And it's going to be Jeremy Jeffries, Ken Roberts, Seth Cole will make up the top 10. Then it's John Godfrey, Matt Sturm, Tim Nofsker, Rodney Sullins, Chris Elliott, Cole Baker, Charles Belding will make up the top 17. And then in 18th position, we have our 2020 Hallowdega race winner. That would be Bob Simonera. He is starting quite a ways back. He'll try to get his way through the field as they do, as they're still trying to line up to get into their starting positions. I believe it will go one more time around as they do that, but we'll see what happens there. Then it's going to be David Cannon and Mark Paglia to round out the top 20. And that's just the top 20, Scott. There are a total of 40 starters in the field, so it's going to be pretty interesting to see how these 40 drivers get around for these 104 laps.
Yeah, and look, I mean, the best thing here as well is the fact that the guys in the back, in the spirit of spookiness, we all know what it's like to run around the back end of a massive field, and, well, Talladega at the back end of a massive field, that's where all the spooky stuff happens. Your race can be over very early on in the night, your race can be running on for a very, very long time, but I'm excited. We've got some special rules, audience to play along with. That's the best part. We are engaging our audience here tonight. So throughout the stages, you're going to hear us ask you guys out there in the chat to say trick or treat. For each end of the stage, the next stage will have a fun rule applied to it based upon what our YouTube chat decides. That is unique! I've never run a race like this, and I'm extremely excited to do this.
Absolutely, we will be explaining those special rules when we get to them. Just keep that in the back
We're not
of your
explaining
mind.
them. I think we keep the chat in the dark. I think we can get the chat in the dark, and we just
Oh, we
pick
will.
them.
We will explain the rules after they're chosen, but what we'll do is we'll tell you when you can do it, but just know at the end of each stage, for all you viewers, you will be getting involved. We'll quickly run down the rest of the starting lineup for you. We stopped at Mark Paglia, then it's Dante Ritchie, Michael Norman, Dylan Poteet, Jeffrey Elliott, Dylan Young, Matt Muir, Nick Gunther, Zachary Hall, Tristan Allen, Andrew Miller, Bill Surratt, Cody Lamas, Rob Evans, Jim Black, Phil Parker, RJ Bishop, Joseph, Landon Palvin, Zach Stoltz, Carson Gum, and our 2016 Hallowdega winner, Joey Murphy, which will be starting at the back of the pack. Now, there is an asterisk on one of these drivers, and that driver is the driver of the... I'm trying to find him in the field, but it is going. There is a driver, Matthew Rodriguez is filling in for one of these drivers, and I'm struggling to remember which car he's actually in.
He's in the 72. He's in the 72. Yeah.
So he will be filling in the driver of the 72. So if you see the 72 driver running around, it is actually Matthew Rodriguez. He is a fill-in driver, and he, I believe, is filling in for Matt Muir. So Matt Muir's spot was 26th position, but since there was a driver change, he will now be starting at the tail end of the field as pace car, the proverbial pace car, has peeled off 104 laps. We've already ran one of them, so technically 103 laps on the table for tonight's Hallowdega event. And if you're any of these drivers up in the top 5, what you really want to do is get together and get away. A lot of these drivers are familiar racing around each other, and they have to do so for more than 100 laps plus stages. We're about ready to set them underway. And Josh Anderson gets us underway. Green flag in the air.
Yeah, blame Shelley restart zone. What an opportunity to get Shelley out there and get around there tonight. Look, I mean, it's gonna be a blast. We're here for 100 laps. This is classic, vintage now. All the fun associated with it. Look at the track. Look at the fanfare that's being pitched around that. That outside barrier? Yeah, you're seeing exactly what I'm seeing. That thing is orange. We are in full Spooktoberfest.
Complete makeover of Talladega Superspeedway is what we are at tonight. The Hallowdega, as it was, and the whole story behind Hallowdega goes back pretty far. But what we initially started with it is that this racetrack was. It's always been famed that it's been built over some hollow ground, so that's why they call it the Hallowdega event. But complete the lap 1, it's Jovan Anderson that will lead lap 1. Behind him will be Grant Wesley that slots in line, and then it's Josh Metallic. And these guys are racing around each other. I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to try and link up throughout the entirety of the night. You've got Andrew Lemke right behind them. Just the top side of the racetrack will get into the 5th place position, and everyone trying to single file out, which is something that happens typically at this race, where early on everyone tries to slot in line and just ride around for a little while, and then when it comes to go in, that is when the intensity kicks up. Right now the stages are to lap 25, lap 52, and the remainder of the race to lap 104. So stage racing is going to be coming in pretty important for these drivers, especially with the rule changes that are going to be happening during the race. And again, the fans will get to decide what those rule changes are. You got to be thinking that these drivers are wondering about what those rule stipulations would be, because as I'm looking at them,
Yeah. Look, I'm excited. We're gonna let our fans know what we've got prepared for them. And it's kind of like a giveaway if we do anything beforehand, so we kind of can't do that. Yeah, it's just going to be a unique night. This is something that I've never done ever. And look, to be perfectly honest, if we're bringing it from you from NL 2003 as well, like, you know, it's just all fun and games right the way through tonight. And I mean, it's 100 laps at Talladega. what more could you want? And on your most spooky night of the year.
Scott, it's already technically a spooky day as early morning in so technically already experiencing the ghost, but tonight we are still on the eve of Halloween, so getting set for our various trick-or-treating, and I've noticed that there's a top line forming at the back of this group, and that is fronted by the Matt Stern machine, I believe that is, and he is trying to get it going. And we know that historically at this track, the top group has kind of been hit or miss, but tonight it's a hit and a miss as you see another driver hitting up to the top side of the racetrack. That's the 66 of Seth Cole. Now, he is no stranger to running around the top side of the racetrack. He's done it several times and it's actually gotten him some pretty good success at this race and other races that he's been a part of, so we'll have to see if that 66 machine can find his way up into the race. A fun statistic about Seth Cole, despite being the admin of this race, never won the Hallowdega event, and we're talking about those past winners. Two of them are in the field. That would have been Bob Simonera and Joey Murphy will keep tabs on their tonight as the front. That was Simonera that tried to step up to the top end of the racetrack to make the past winners have been Zach Buchanan, Johnny Gardner, James Shelley, and Tyler Mallon. Those drivers won the 2015, 2017, 2018, and 2019 races respectively. So we have a pretty good opportunity for there to be another new driver to go to victory lane. The start, only two of them entered in. Statistically, that does prove very well for the 38 of the
Yeah, look, I mean, the statistics are up there, but it's all about planning. I mean, it's a long race. We're going to be sitting back here. We're going to be chilling out for a long period of this. I mean, we're already into lap 7, so things are definitely running at a reduced pace, shall we say. Trying to settle themselves into the race. You know, you're not going to see too much eagerness in the early phases. The big critical factor is something's happened to Matt Rodriguez on those opening laps. So, look, I mean, he's now running 30 seconds off the back end of the pack. Good chance he'll get his lap back if something does happen right throughout the period tonight. So don't be too concerned about him. I mean, he'll be there. He'll be getting himself involved. It just may not be from the get-go here.
Yeah, Matthew Rodriguez on the back straightaway right now. Our F1 colleague as well, running around by himself. So not a good start for that 72 crew, and he's going to be caught up pretty quickly. This lead group of cars is thundering down the back straightaway right now, and he is the only driver that's off the pace at the minute, so keep tabs on him. As hasn't changed, so pole sitter Jovan Anderson leading the way. A lot of shuffling happening. 5th place on down, as Nat will make that 6 on down, as now Jeremy Jeffries has made his way up into the 6th place position with the number 8 machine, and behind him Ken Roberts is starting a more definitive line, as Sidenor has now decided to jump up to the outside line and pack. And if he can get this pack going, then that's going to be a pretty big challenge on the high side. The struggle is right now, it doesn't seem like it's paying off too much. At the top is guys down the straights, but it's not proving to be very well in the corners, as you can see, already losing ground on the top. That might be a little bit good to know for later on in the race if you're trying to make moves. I think Seth Cole's gone to the bottom of the racetrack. He dipped down. Not sure what's happening there. There is some jostling going on back in the 17th position on the back as we're find Cole Baker.
I think this is just a patience move for Seth Cole. He's just looking at the cars moving and shuffling about just up ahead of me. He's going, yeah, look, there was some jostling. We had some momentum going. Momentum fell away. Now we're going to settle back in. So this move isn't from Seth. This is just him going, my race is in the future. He could be even, you know, out of the throttle quite aggressively here, trying to save some fuel. You know, the other side of the coin is admin duties can sometimes, you know, get in the way here. So he could have, theoretically, some sort of admin duties that are from racing at full speed at this point in time. He could be calling cautions, could be anything like that. Seth's one of those guys that he's pretty well organized, so it would surprise me if that's the case. But, keep that in the back of your mind. It could affect the late race running, which is disappointing from him. But right now, I think he is just in full-on field save mode. He's this race early on.
It was a bit of a adverse move from Dylan and sent him up the racetrack as he has now found his way back in line. And speaking of line, that outside line is much larger and is now being by the Jessica Shelton machine. The 9 is up on the top side. This is important because Jessica Shelton was content, seemed to be content, running in the 5th place position. Now slots back behind as someone else tries to move up to the outside line. That'd be Andrew Lemke. Lemke's been known to be well at this track. He's been caught in a couple of incidences the last couple of years, but this one might be his year as running around in the 5. He's actually going to lose quite a bit of time now. Get him to fight. And that was a good move on the part of Shelton. Give him the bait, try to say, okay, we got some momentum, hopefully the line, and maybe take away the lead of the pack, and then all of a sudden moves back down the line. Now she's up to 4th place, so position gained as Andrew Lemke is going the wrong direction.
Yeah, look, there's multiple sort of things that are going on at this stage too. I mean, it's patience, but at the same time, saying, hey, I don't want this. I want my race to go this way. I want my race to go that way. How am I setting myself up for all of this? There's a lot in it, and it's not just as simple as saying I got to shuffle myself to the front early on. It's saying I've got to prepare myself. I've got to, one of the things that could be hiding behind those trick-or-treat windows, which, I haven't seen all the last ones are actually hidden for me at the moment. Could it be a field shuffle? Could that be something? YouTube chat, you guys are going to play such a big part tonight.
Yeah, there's going to be a number of things that could affect the outcome of this race, but these drivers might not be thinking about that too much right now as running around on the raceway. It looks like everyone's just find their way in line, and I think that everyone at the front of the pack knows that they don't want to get into some adverse incidences, but we will try and see what will come of it. As we're going to quickly take a step aside. We're going to pick this action back up in a moment. Right now, the field, as it is Jovan Anderson leading the way and has been leading the way for quite some time. Has not been challenged too much for the lead of the race, but we'll pick back up in a few moments. We're going to go F1 and side by side so you won't miss any of the action.
Welcome, race fans. This is Paul Page, the voice of IndyCars. And today we're excited to present another IndyCar event brought to you by the Dark Horse IndyCar Series. From the Unzers to Mears, Foyt, and Andretti, now it's Corley, Peterson, Davies, Gardner, and Teague. You can expect high speed, incredible wheel-to-wheel action, and you'll get in an IndyCar. So sit back and enjoy your favorite drivers from all over the world take the track. Dark Horse IndyCar drivers, start your engine.
Back to live action right now, and we have drivers making a quick dive onto pit road. There's actually been some contact in the back. We've got a couple of drivers gone around. That's Jessica Shelton in the 9, and of course the 8 has also gone around as well. That would be Jeremy Jeffries.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the guys trying to duck to pit road this early. Obviously, we're going to have a stage break here, lap 25. So, you know, we're not too far away from getting there. We've got to be careful, make sure that these guys are basically gaming themselves for track position at that stage break. So that's what they're doing with this pit stop.
And it looks like the Tim Nofsker is going to be the first one off onto the racing surface after the pit stop. That was a quick dive for a lot of these drivers. It looked like it was definitely planned, but it looked like it was kind of frantic as Joey Murphy, or one of our former winners, has gotten turned around. He's gotten back onto the racetrack, and those were the only drivers that have come down so far. No one else has elected to come down pit road in this top group. However, that hands the lead over to Greg Lavelle, and a couple of drivers are under threat of going a lap down. Ken Roberts is going to go a lap down.
Well, that's critical. I mean, now when we think of Matt Rodriguez and things as well, like, think about what his race was looking like. He was at risk of going a lap down. He's now gone to 4 laps down, and something's happened to Matt Rodriguez. That's really weird.
And Rodriguez has gone a lap down, multiple laps down, and these drivers now at the front of the field are trying to stay out. Tim Nofsker is back on the pit lane. I wonder if he's gotten hit with a penalty, as Jim Black, David Cannon, Mark Paglia, and Stern are on pit road. Dante Ricky's on pit road, or coming off the pit lane. There's Paglia trying to make his way back on. Stern is they're going to get bypassed. And there's Dante Ritchie. John Godfrey was on pit lane. Shelton's turning around. Poteet's on. Oh, Hall's missed his pit box. He's got to back up into his pit box as more drivers come down the pit lane.
Yeah, so it's critical. Remember, first pit stops of the night, so these guys would have definitely practiced pitting from a pack, but they wouldn't have pit from a pack of 40 drivers yet. It's critical to know that everyone's trying to get to pit lane at this point in time. This is a difficult night for this.
Indeed it is, and they're trying to scatter around and figure out how to get on the pit lane. Here's the leaders. Right now it's still Greg Lavelle, and now he comes down onto the pit lane, bringing the rest of the leaders on. He smokes it up, leaving some 11s down on, and I think that's the 48 around, and he has gotten around, and he's flipped over. Assisted by the 7, backed into the 22, and that is going to be some hardcore damage on to Cody Lamas' car. He gets it refired, going back to the right direction. Michael Norman was also involved in that. I don't think it's going to bring out a yellow flag, though.
Jessica Shelton's actually still on pit lane. I'm just sort of keeping my eyes on a few different things. Is that like a second or third time that she's come back down pit road? So she's been down there a few times.
Might have been hit with a speeding penalty trying to get back on. Oh, and she's gotten clobbered by the 08 of Tristan Allen coming into his pit box, and Shelton was trying to leave her pit box. Tim Nofsker is running all by himself. He had to come down and make another stop. Here comes Lavelle. He came down as the leader of the race. He is going to be scored in second place. It means that one driver has stayed out. There they go. These would undoubtedly be inheriting the lead. And Grant Wesley is in the lead of the race. I think he's in the net lead of the race. Who was shown as the leader the last time by? That would have been Rodney Sullins.
Sullins.
He didn't. He came down the pit lane by himself. I think he was the only one that stayed out. Gutsy move by the 38 crew, but now is going to go on the pit lane by himself. Here's a couple of drivers that I think are making their first stop of the night. I think Dylan Young's back on the pit lane. He might have gotten hit with a penalty. There is Hall back on the pit lane. So Sullins is going to lose the lead of the race. Grant Wesley is going to inherit it at the end of this lap. So that is your top 4 running all by themselves, as it will be Wesley, Anderson, McTallick, and Jeffries. Behind them is going to be Godfrey. Then you have Ritchie in the 84 making up the 6th place position. Sidenor will be making up the 7th place position. You've got Zach Hall coming out. He's a lap down. Jessica Shelton is also a lap down, running in the 36th position. And then you got to go all the way back to Greg Lavelle in the 8th position before we find anyone else on the lead lap. And then it's Andrew Miller in 9th, and then Mark Paglia leading a group of 4, and he will be in the 10th place. Too. Oh yeah, they are. They are picking up some good time.
So expect them. They're going to hustle up on, because you got Andrew Miller and Zachary Hall that are just ahead of them. So obviously those guys not quite working together at this point in time. Greg Lavelle as well. So a lot of cars here that are now lost their drafting support. So we're in the final run here. We're lap 22. I believe we're on lap 23 now, and I believe it's time for the first time tonight Ladies and gentlemen, I need to hear trick or treat in the chat. We are looking for trick or treat. There are two fun options that are going to happen based upon what you say. I need you to say one of those two options.
Indeed so. At the end of this, like Scott said, at the end of this stage, we'll be taking the poll and seeing which one wins, and then that will determine a rule change for tonight's event, only for Stage 2 at this point in time. So your action will only affect Stage 2. We're going to find out what will happen at the end, or when we get into the final, or the first stage of the race. But right now, Grant Wesley is trying to hold on for dear life as he's getting pushed by Jovan Anderson. Anderson has led every lap so far tonight, except for on the way out of the pit lane and during the pit lane shuffle. Now finds himself in second place. He's got a fast car, this 93, and I wouldn't dare count him out of taking the lead back, but it's just so hard to pass here. You have to have someone to help you, and preferably do it on the inside line. The outside line was working in practice, but it does not seem to have translated very well during the race.
Yeah, so it is what it is. I think it's the fact that there's a much bigger group on the inside line now, so things are speeding up. I'm actually going to throw some hints actually out to the guys that are watching out in the chat. The trick is going to be something to do with the restart. The treat will have something to do with pit road.
So there's your hints. If you want to go based off of those hints, we'll have to again tally up the score and find out what happens. I'm excited to see it either way, because we did see some big implications. Either way, it's gonna throw big implications into the event. And right now, Jovan Anderson and company are just hoping they can get to the end of the stage. We're quickly approaching it. This is the penultimate lap before we get on to the white flag lap for Stage 1. There are no points awarded to these drivers from this race. This is, all intents and purposes, a one-off race, but you know, bragging rights do come in, and you want to be the one who can take the stage win in tonight's event and through the tri-oval for the final time in stage, or make that the second to the last time in Stage 1. Grant Wesley takes white flag. If you're Grant Wesley, this is a good time to gauge what you have to do to keep someone behind you. From what I've seen so far, no matter who's in the lead of the race, and this could be because they're trying to ride around and conserve their cars, but well, I say that, and Jovan Anderson says, no, thank you. I want to take the lead of the race. This is good for Jovan Anderson if he wants to figure out what he's got to do to pass somebody. Right now, it looks like that he had to have a friend, but look at the top side. Josh Metallic on the top side trying to make something work as everyone's going 3 wide behind him. 3 wide for second place. Jovan Anderson on the bottom of the racetrack's got to run. He's got some help behind him. In the middle, you've still got Wesley being pushed. Who's going to get to the line first? And I think it's going to be Wesley. And at the line, it will be Grant Wesley taking the win in Stage 1. And I think second place will go to Josh Metallic.
I think it was that second car on the inside line, followed by the third car on the top line, fractionally. So Josh Metallic's going to take it. Jeremy Jeffries, Sidenor, Jovan Anderson drops all the way back to 5th. John Godfrey will be 6th. Dante Ricci. Look at that lead pack, though. That was intense. Now we're going to reset them. We're going to re-rack them. A whole bunch of different things are going to happen. We've got 3 trick votes come out in the chat, and you know what that means. It's time to announce what the trick is for this next restart.
We'll get them underway. We'll give the fans a little bit more time. We'll give them to the end of this lap before we reveal what they have chosen. But if everything holds together, I think we all know what that will be. And I'm excited to see it. I don't know if these drivers are going to be happy to have to partake in it, but given to what we just saw, that was intense. Now, that is something that you'll have to do. It's always in the back of your mind at any race when you're trying to, go through all the strategies and stuff, but now you have a completely new rule thrown into the mix, and this is going to shake up these drivers by far, and I think everyone's going to come down onto the pit lane, so we'll give them until after they come off of the pit lane before we reveal what the selection is. But if you're these drivers, you've gotten some good practice to try to figure out what you have to do to pass somebody, but the problem is it doesn't seem like it matters too much, because Grant Wesley still held the lead of the race despite being challenged on both ends of the racetrack.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal finish to the end of the stage, and I mean the pace was up there. The cars were running around at tip-top speed, and things were looking very, very good on that last lap. Have a look at the difference between our top cars. Have a look at the timings of the runs. Those are a couple critical factors to super speedways. It's timing and it's the size of the run that you get. Right, you got to keep your eyes on those things. You got first of all got to put yourself in that position to be able to be up there at the back end of the race. Secondly, you got to put yourself in that position whereby you're going to get the run at the right time. Couple drivers that put that all together at the back end of there. Josh Metallic, great job, defended at the right time, but for me, Jovan Anderson, I think he's got a little bit of work to do here under this next stage. He's got to time things a little bit better. He started going backwards at the start of that last lap at the end of the stage. That is a bad time to lose it, because he's controlled the race so well so far.
Yeah, has done that. It seems like whoever is in the lead of the race has done a pretty good job of controlling the field, and that's something that they're definitely going to want to take into consideration. Now, I think that we're well into it, so for all the people who have chosen Trick, and I want to get Scott to confirm this, but they have chosen Trick.
They have chosen Trick.
They have chosen Trick.
Yep. They have chosen Trick.
Oh boy! So, stage 1. Done and dusted. We're going into stage 2, and I hope that everyone watching are a fan of the Indy 500, because stage 2 will now be started under a 3-wide condition. So all these drivers will rack up 3 wide and will start the race under basically an Indy 500 starting procedure. So that will throw in some pretty interesting strategies into the mix in order to get around the racetrack. I personally, the way that we've seen them race, even in the 3-wide scenarios during green flag conditions, it lets me know they can get around it. But you're gonna have all of our drivers, all 40 of them, still running on the racetrack. You're gonna have 40 drivers lining up 3 wide, so we will be 3 wide, 20 rows deep.
Oh my word! Are you ready? Are you ready for the crash of the night? You don't have to wait for these guys to get to the back end of the race before they start to push it 3 wide.
Well,
it gets to go. We're starting that way for this next restart.
Yeah, you're not gonna have to wait very long, and that's gonna be fun to see.
There's gonna be nowhere to go. If you want to bail out, there's nowhere to go.
I could bail out. It's just not gonna go very far.
You gotta create a wreck.
There's always the pit lane as an alternative route.
I mean, sure.
And an alternate line for these drivers. But yeah, whoever starts the race is gonna park the bus, I feel, and have everyone behind them accordion out. This is gonna be chaos. Just to let you know, fans, you're the one who caused this.
Me?
Well, no, not Scott. The fans caused
this. Oh, the fans. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. See, the issue is right now I've got Seth in my head as well, because they're organizing the 3-wide restart at the moment. So the rule is the leader gets to choose which of the 3 lanes that they want to go from. So if the leader wants to be in the middle or top lane, they can choose that.
Oh man. So the choose rule is in effect, and
No. Only for the leader. Only for the leader.
That would be incredible if they implemented the choose rule as a 3-wide start. That would be cool. Well, actually, you just have everybody lining up single file, so I guess it didn't work out too well. Ay. We have a few drivers that are a lap down. They are still in front of the leaders. That would be Zachary Hall, Jessica Shelton, Landon Pavlin, Rob Anderson, and Bob Simonera. Those drivers are at least a lap down or more, as Josh Metallic is our leader, and they are going to get a wave around. And here they go. Now they're going to line up 3 wide for the start. It'll be Metallic on the bottom. He's chosen the bottom, and that is honestly a smart move, given the fact that the bottom line has been the preferred line all night.
Particularly when they're coming up to speed. Once they actually get the momentum, that's when once they're up to speed, the higher lanes get that. So for the first half a lap, what you should expect to see is the bottom 2 grooves will pull ahead, potentially by a car length. If I'm in that bottom groove situation and I'm ahead by that car length and I'm clear, I'm moving up. I want that momentum coming my way from the top grooves, because they can't go anywhere. Once you're up there, they're stuck, because you're already in a 3-wide situation. You can't create that 4th line on the opening lap. So if I get far enough ahead, I'm shifting up, baby.
have to see if anybody on the bottom and the middle decides to yoink their way up to the top side of the racetrack. And just looking at this is looking kind of scary. The parading around in 3-wide situation, I mean, they're not going to run into each other, but I'm only imagining what happens with these cars that are full song going 200 miles an hour lined up like this. The track's wide enough to do it, no doubt about it, but definitely going to scare us for the start of this race. Bear in mind, all of you still watching the race, all the fans still in attendance, we have one more stage after this, so stage 2 and then stage 3. We have another choice at the end of this stage as well, so don't forget to think about what you want. You can either have a trick or a treat, and we're going to throw a new rule into the race for our third and final stage.
And reminder that this rule is only in effect for this stage, so we will not start stage 3, the final stage, the run to the end, under a 3-wide restart. Man, look, I've done this. I've been in the middle of a 3-wide restart as part of an Indy 500. It is sketchy, it is scary, and you're looking for control. And look, we're coming up on the Blame Shelley restart zone. It's time to go, baby. 3-wide restart. Are you ready for this?
I'm not ready for this, but I hope these drivers are. We're going to get set to go. Josh Metallic is the control car. He chooses when they go. Green flags in the air. Oh my goodness. I think they're going to make it all the way through as they are. I don't know how they got off the line well. Josh Metallic is still on the bottom side of the racetrack. They're 2 wide out front. Now single file. That was a good move by Metallic to take the inside line. Dante Ritchie is on the inside trying to figure out where he can make a pass. He might try to take the lead of the race, you know, if he can get a push from Jeffries behind. Oh, there's banging at the back of the pack behind them. Jeffrey Elliott was getting leaned on by Cole Baker, but they settle it out. And for the most part, I think we've gotten off okay.
Yeah, well, have a look at Jovan Anderson. Started at the front end of that outside group. He's now well deep in the pack. I think he's like 10th or 11th behind the number of cars that he is right now. Keep your eyes on that inside line. They're starting to get a little bit formed up. They'll make some ground here, particularly if they can get the draft of that little pack that's ahead of them, and they are. They're sucking it a little bit on the front stretch, King. Whoa! And watch them come down here.
Jeffrey Elliott got some contact with Cole Baker yet again. They banged doors, bounced off each other. That might not have been Cole Baker. I think that was Mark Paglia that made the contact, and they have touched, but they are still running in a straight line. Somehow we made it through the 3-wide start. We're now in a single file line. Here's your top 5. It's going to be Josh Metallic leading the way, Dante Ritchie pushing him down the back straightaway, Jeremy Jeffries in 3rd, Grant Wesley in 4th, and Mark Paglia in a heated battle for 5th place as they're 2 wide behind. Oh, there's another contact between Baker and Elliott. You got to think, if this is the 2nd or 3rd time that they've made contact, the next time might not be so friendly.
And have a look, Jovan Anderson starting to make moves. He's hooked up with that 11 car. He is shoving that thing like it's going out of fashion. They are making space, man. They are making speed, and they are coming to the front.
They're trying to go to the outside again, trying to form that outside line. That might not be too well as the track closes up on corner exit. To the inside line, you had the likes of... Oh, there he goes. He had the marks of Paglia trying to get to the inside of the racetrack, but now Jeffrey Elliott sinks his way into the bottom of the racetrack. Unfortunately, he's all by himself, leaving him out to dry. He's going to shuffle to the back of the pack, and that's going to move Greg Loveland into the 9th place around, but it seems like everyone's trying to be a little more racy this time around, as if they know that this stage, at the end of this stage, it sets up the final stage and our longest run of the night, so you want to have a good starting position for it, but if the way that they're racing, you'd think it was only 5 laps to go.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, a little bit of that, so drivers get a little bit more antsy in the 3-wide situation. Everyone's like, oh my god, how are we going to get through this? The, what's the word? The adrenaline kicks in when you're in that 3-wide situation. So what I think we're seeing is drivers have lost the ability, a little bit of their ability to keep that logic brain in check, and now you're just seeing some of that go baby go mentality.
We're going to go back and take a look and see if we can find where our former winners are that are in the field and see what they're doing. There's one of them, Joey Murphy in the 12, running in the 16th position the last time they crossed the line. Murphy won the 2016 Hallowdega event. He's had a long time since he's won this event, about 5 years, so he wants to try and get another win here tonight and make himself, I believe he'd make himself the only multi-time Hallowdega event winner of the evening, or of just the race in general. So if he can do that tonight, that would be fantastic for him. Another driver that's looking to do that is actually right behind him. That's Bob Simonera in the 712. He's won this event last year, the defending winner of this race. So trying to see if he can go back to back. He would also be the only driver that's won. Actually, yeah, he would be the only driver that has won this race multiple times. So they come in with a little bit of weight on them, being the only two defending winners in this race. But these other guys, they might want to try and prove that they can put their name up in the winner's circle. There's certainly a lot of hungry drivers have the ability to do that.
Yeah, look, I mean, obviously everyone, the benefit of running one-off events like this is that everyone's actually just out there to try and win the race. Nobody's going out with championship implications. No one's going out for just an average finish. Everyone's out there for a good time, for a short time, and for a race-winning time. That's the goal of things like Hallowdega, and it just inspires something a little bit different. And, you know, like I said at the top of the show, first time on an old platform. You never know what you're going to expect with these sorts of things. Look at that field now. They've settled themselves out.
Yeah, they're still running 2 wide, 3 wide in parts of the field. There's 3 wide behind these guys, and that's Chris Elliott in the middle of it. It's got Joey Murphy pushing him through the middle of the pack. Look at this gaggle of cars behind. The leaders haven't had to experience any of this, but there's certainly a lot of racing going on back here.
3 wide.
Oh boy. Gone 3 wide again. That is the 56 in the middle of it. You've got John Godfrey. There's a car coming off the pit lane. I think that might have been Matthew Rodriguez coming off on the pit lane, but you got Tim Novsker leading this bottom line, and it's funny to say that this is the, whoa! Never mind, that was a bit of lag back there. I thought there was a driver going to the inside line, but that was just a bit of preemptive gap whack, but no one was hit.
Yes, Anthony, you've adopted it. My favorite term, gap whack. Yes, thank you.
I mean, it's a great term. I don't know why we didn't adopt something like that before. We just kept going, oh, it's net code, or it's lag. Oh, no, gap whack.
No, gap whack. Something it's fun to say, right?
It is fun. I like coining it. I like that. And Tim Novsker was not almost the recipient of it, but it was just in front of where it was. I don't know who that was that basically bounced out of the line, but Novsker's leading this inside line, and I am shocked to say that it's not really going anywhere.
I mean, they're just going to be patient. I don't necessarily think that it's the fact that it's not going anywhere at this stage. I think it's just nobody really wants to push mega hard again right now, because we're going to see another pit stop in the middle of the stage. We're at lap 37, so we're coming up on the halfway period through this stage. In fact, we've actually blown past the halfway period. Oh, no, we're coming up on the halfway period of this stage. Can't do math. Something about Sundays and can't do math, yeah.
All right, Sundays are for turning your brain off, generally speaking. It's Matt Stern, not Matt Stern. That's it is Matt Stern. Matt Stern running in the 14th position. He started a pretty high starting position and has ended up going backwards a little bit. He's running in the mid pack, but still very well on the top side of the racetrack. Andrew Lemke has fallen back into the middle of the racetrack. He was up in the top 5 a lot at the beginning and all throughout stage 1, but now is trying to figure out how to get back up there, as he's been adopted into that middle line from, well, actually, everyone kind of went into his space, as he now has some friends to get the draft off of. That actually left the aforementioned Stern up on the outside line all by himself. So now he has to figure out a way to get to that inside line, as you know, everyone just running around. Again, it gets into that part of the race where, yeah, we're 2 wide racing now. This is something that was a little bit different from the last stage, as an update on that inside line. They actually have made up some ground, but you know, everyone trying to just ride this out. They know it's a long race still to come, and races previously, we've seen that there have been some pretty significant incidences that have taken out drivers early. Think back to 2020 and 2019. You saw I think there was 2 to 3 cautions in the first half of the race, and that took out pretty much at least 10 to 15 drivers out of contention, as there's drivers heading onto the pit lane.
Yeah, I was just keeping my eyes on Jessica Shelton as well. I was keeping my eyes back in the pack, because remember, she was running up front very, very early on, and then I think obviously the major issues in the pit stop, car backwards in pit stop as well. So somebody's spun on the entry to pit road. We'll see if they get a black flag for that one. she's been running back there. She has been starting to push a little bit for position, so I'm wondering whether or not there is a small amount of damage to her car. She hasn't been able to make a huge deal of spots, or whether she's just holding back. Honestly, I feel like she is just holding back that little bit. She's currently at 1 lap down. This next end of stage, she'll get that back. So the reason she's coming to pit road early is because it's easier to enter pit road with a smaller group of cars. So that's probably why she's down here early.
We did see a few drivers run into each other on the last pit cycle. Most notably, Cody Lamas going for a wild ride upside down. Actually, the status of the 48 machine is not doing too well as I'm looking through the field. I don't even know if he's still on the track. The damage might have been too much to take him out of the race because I don't see him anywhere.
The 48 is retired. Lamas,
he has retired, yeah. So with the retiring, whoa! Jessica Shelton merged back onto the racetrack and almost did a Kevin LePage, but everyone gets around. That could have been dangerous.
Benefit for her is that she's merging back on the track and she's with the pack. So things went well. That's pretty good to see. So she is going to be pulled along quite aggressively here. Very good opportunity. So she will be at 2 laps down for now, just due to the pit stop. But everyone else ahead of her is going to need to make that stop. And she's going to be at full momentum for the remainder of this run.
So well, it's already lost another lap, but we'll get that lap back at least and be 1 lap down again. As that was a bit of an unsafe merge onto the racetrack, but thankfully didn't take anybody out. There's
heads up driving.
Very heads up driving with these leaders. There's Dylan Poteet, who has had a pretty quiet night running in the 11th position last time he crossed the line, but has had, again, a pretty quiet evening so far tonight as looks like our field's been reduced a little bit. I wonder if there's cars on the pit lane. Surprisingly not. There are some cars that are behind. Those had been pitted, so it's just these drivers. These are the lead lap drivers.
Well, I do have some updates from...
Oh! Right in the front, and that's
Jordan Anderson.
First caution. Oh, there's Andrew Lemke. That's not Andrew Lemke. Joey Murphy, one of our defending winners, is upside. There's an upside down car. That's a 93.
Caution is out.
Jovan Anderson going for an upside down ride in the 93. That's a Palvin that's slow. That's one of our defending winners, Joey Murphy, involved in this one. Don't know if he's going to have long-lasting damage or not.
There was quite a few cars because that happened right up towards the front end of things, and I think actually Jovan Anderson's limping. I don't know if he'll be able to make it back to pit lane. He is all over the track at this point in time.
Anderson had gone for a wild ride, and if anything is any indication, once that car flips over, it might end up the same way that Cody Lamas's car did. There is some heavy damage on the right side of that machine. But we're gonna
be curious. Just because of the timing of that caution, Jessica Shelton's now trapped at 2 laps down. She might get the wave around back, so she may actually pick up one of those laps back because she already has completed that pit. But now there's a whole bunch of other cars back at that 1 lap down marker. So if she managed to get through that caution quite well, she can start to reconstruct her night if things fall her way. If things don't fall her way, her night will be done at 2 laps down.
So everyone will undoubtedly be coming down the pit road now to get their stop out of the way. And this actually started with Jovan Anderson and Joey Murphy, as we'll go and take a look at what happened here. As you can see on the inside line, I think it was just a bit of a bad bump from the 12 of Murphy into Anderson. And it's tough when you're in the middle of the turn like that. Actually, it was a stack up in front of him that caused everyone to ripple down into the field, and that is exactly what sent the 93 of Anderson around as he slowed down to avoid the cars in front of him. And then I don't think Murphy quite got the memo that everyone was stacking up, and then he ran into in the middle of the racetrack. That's a hard shot into Stern. That Stern gets damage out of this as Anderson hard up into the outside wall.
Oh, somebody caught the apron. That was what caused it. Was somebody actually caught the apron in the turn?
Yeah, everyone's stacking up.
I think it was Mark Paglia that actually caused that one, just having a quick look at it.
So what caused... Wondering what caused Jovan Anderson to flip over. It looks like that Murphy gets hit again. That was by the 38 of Sullins, and he's got some damage. Now Anderson is going to... he's going to get hit again by Murphy. right in the back of the machine, right in the rear, the right rear of the machine, flips the 93 over. That's going to be some suspension damage. I have a feeling that this might be the 93's night done. He might be able to limp around the racetrack, but he's not going to be up to any competition speed. We'll take a onboard of the 93 to see exactly what it was that he saw. I think everyone's come down the pit lane and they're stacking them back up, but it's tough. I'm actually going to go on board with the 12 of Joey Murphy to see what he saw from his POV. And this is it's tough when you get into this situation because you're running at your hardest. You really have nowhere to go in the on the field, so you end up just ever so slightly having a bit of contact that sends everyone up the racetrack. And unfortunately, that's the way to end people's nights. But first caution of the night comes on lap 42 of our main event.
And I mean, the thing is, you've got to recognize that Jovan Anderson, what did he see? What was he actually able to see as a part of that wreck before it happened? He would have seen nothing. He's looking at the spoiler of the car ahead of him. The car ahead of him is having to check up because the car ahead of him has caught the apron. He's checking up. He sees absolutely nothing. He piles in there as if there's nothing wrong because there's nothing that he can see is wrong. So there's no fault at all of the drivers that are just piling in. You've got to remember just how close these cars are running. They're running nose to tail, nose to tail, nose to tail, nose to tail. And just because of the size, the dimension, the layout of these cars, you literally cannot see anything.
Absolutely not. It was tough to even on the roof cam of Joey Murphy to see what exactly happened that last time by, and it's just a tough situation. Now, that was the only caution so far that we've had tonight. It's barring stages or stage cautions. So it only involved really 3 to 4 drivers. So given where it happened on the racetrack, that is a miracle that we ended up with only a handful of drivers making contact. Just double filing up, getting ready for our restart. It's going to be Grant Wesley now on the front of the field, and after everyone has come down the pit lane, then it's going to be Dante Ritchie in the 84 will be lining up to his outside. Josh Metallic, Jeffrey Elliott, Cole Baker, Jeremy Jeffries, Ken Roberts, Mark Paglia, Greg Lovell, and Andrew Lemke will make up our top 10. We're getting close to the end of stage 2. And I think at the end of lap 52 will be the end of our stage. If we saw any indication from stage 1, these drivers raced to it like it was the last lap. You almost think that they're a bit scared of these rule changes.
Well, I mean, they need to be in control of them. So look, I mean, we saw, okay, here's some information on what the 2 options were. So we obviously saw the 3 wide start was the trick start. The treat would have been under green flag pit stops. Only during stage 2, you can come down pit road as fast as you want. You make that pit stop clean, you get your black flag cleared, you continue on. So it was all about driving into pits as fast and as hard and knowing when and where to brake. However, you caused an accident, that means you get to have to serve that black flag. So that was the other option. We've got another option for trick or treat coming up here in a few laps. So remember, at the start of lap 50, votes will open, trick or treat. We want to hear what you guys have to say in the chat.
Grant Wesley gets us back underway on lap 46 of 104. He's gotten out to a pretty good gap over Josh Metallic, who's going to settle back in line. Everyone trying to duck down to that inside line. And I'll tell you what, that inside line has not been the bad decision all night long. Everyone wants to be down there, as it's been the only line that's really been able to take it to the lead of the race. I say that, but no one's actually been able to challenge for the lead on the race under green flag conditions. We saw Grant Wesley challenged at the end of stage 1, but no one actually got past him, and I have a feeling that if we had stayed green even afterwards, we might have been able to see him eke it out and get to the inside line going out of or even into turn 1. So what do you have to do to pass at this racetrack?
I mean, you got to get that run. You got to get that organization. The team that's operating behind Grant Wesley there, you've got Metallic, you've got Baker, you've got Ricci, you've got a whole bunch of guys. All these guys are working real well together to keep that momentum. The problem is the time that it's taking to build that momentum. And the runs, they're coming so late on. And these guys, they're just not abandoning each other. Somebody gets out of line here, and now we've got an inside line forming, and that middle group is going to lose ground. They don't have enough cars there.
Dante Ritchie is front man of that inside group of 3. Behind them, whoa, there's contact behind them. That was between Paglia and Roberts. Roberts got bumped by the 48, or made that the 46 machine, and had him set up into the outside wall, but I'll make that the, what number is this car? Goodness. Can't even find it. Anyway, you guys made contact between the two of them and got sent up into the outside, almost got sent into the outside wall, but they settle it out again, although Paglia is getting awful close to that inside line and trying to keep it off of beat everyone, but it doesn't look like he's been able to do so. Or he has looked like he's been able to do so. Now settling in 5th on that outside line, but that could have been our second caution.
And remember, Paglia was the cause of the first caution, so he could be the guy that that everyone's looking, I've got to get by this guy. I really can't be stuck in behind him. So we'll see if that's going to change over the next couple laps. Remember, pit stop's not going to count now. With everyone's had that free pit stop, and it was critical when that caution came out to where everyone was placed. We've only got one car at 1 lap down. So Jessica Shon, she's just got to keep it clean. She's getting a lap back.
Kevin Anderson was one of the drivers involved in that last incident. Went up and over. Has actually gotten back in line. Is now in 23rd place on the racetrack. Another driver that was involved, Joey Murphy, a defending winner, or not defending winner, but a former winner of this race, back on the inside line, running 18th the last time they crossed the line. Other drivers that were involved in this one, I'm trying to find them on the racetrack. Don't know if they have gotten back out. I know that Stern was one of the drivers involved. Haven't been able to find him. I think he's running in the mid-pack still. Running.
He's still out there. So there's only 3 guys that are currently out of the race at this point in time. It's RJ Bishop, Phil Parker, and C. Lammers. Those are the only 3 drivers that are out of the race at this point in time. We are about to start, I believe, lap 50 at this point in time. So it's trick or treat time.
Put your votes in the chat. Do you want another trick or do you want a treat this time? We'll have to find out what you, the fans, vote for these drivers' fates, and will it be the end of the race, or will we be able to revive them at the end of this race, stitch them up, and cause some mass chaos around the city? We'll have to figure that one out, but right now...
I was about to say, Jovan Anderson's running around in a zombie car at this point in time. Maybe because it's Hallowdega, that makes him faster.
What's left of that car, anyway, is... That might have saved him from going out of the race. Having a zombie car, is already dead, so there's no more damage you could do to it.
He just picks up the pieces of the other race cars that are out on the track and just reattaches them.
Oh, +1 crit damage. Wow. Grant Wesley still leading the race. Josh Metallic is in 2nd place, and Cole Baker, I can't think of a rhyme to end this sentence, is running in the 3rd position.
Well, I mean, what is it? The Butcher, the Baker, and the Candlestick Maker? Isn't that an old nursery rhyme?
I'm sure it is. As,
maybe that's an Australian thing.
Well, we definitely have our own version, but I don't know if it follows that exact wording. Whoa, there was almost some more gap whack back here. That was, this time, it was Andrew Lemke giving a bit of sideways shuffle.
This is the run of the end of the stage, so the guys are starting to get spicy. They're single filed out at the front. Here it comes.
Grant Wesley to the inside of the racetrack will take the white flag for stage 2. And no one was able to get around him last time. You think anyone's going to try and push their issue this time around to get to the end of the stage win? Oh, almost did. There was some contact back with the 39, set him up the racetrack, but Talik's in loose position. To the inside goes Paglia behind Jeffries, pushing him down the back straightaway. This might be the first successful pass for the lead under green flag conditions.
Yeah, it's down to the bottom side. That's where the momentum's coming at this point in time. Unfortunately, the 88 machine, it got too far out in front as everyone started dicing for their track position. Now he's got no momentum. Everyone around him is so much faster.
Jeremy Jeffries out of turn 4 at the end of stage 2. As long as no one challenges, there is someone. Paglia with a line behind him is going to challenge. Now to the top side, tries to take the position away, and I think he will. Mark Paglia at the line is going to take stage 2.
And have a look at how close it was, too. 3/100ths of a second was the gap from Paglia to Jeffries to Ritchie.
Incredible finish, and that was 2 lead changes in the same lap, so now we know what you have to do. You have to leave the leader out to dry, and if the leader's got an alliance with someone behind them, you think that might be a bit too difficult to do, but Paglia made it work. He takes stage 2. And now we set up for stage 3, our longest stage of the evening. No, undoubtedly, these drivers are going to come down and replenish their tires and get some new fuel. So we'll get new tires and replenish their fuel. Either way works. And
Let me open up this envelope that Matt Rod's sent over to me. Let's have a look at what's going on over here. Oh, that trick.
oh boy,
That trick. But I tell you what, the treat is so good for the tail end of the race. Do you guys want to again flip it for the start, or do you just want to flip it for the end? Which one do you just want?
figure out what happens. Remember to vote trick or treat down in the chat to find out what these drivers' fates are. And some drivers are hoping it's one or the other. I don't think that most of them know what the stipulation is, so they're just trying to, navigate this new rule change as everyone comes down the pit lane. Everyone except for Jessica Shelton. She's a lap down. She'll get her lap back this time around, so everyone that is still running on the racetrack will be on the lead lap. And it was a quick stop for a few of these drivers, including Jovan Anderson, and I think he hasn't made it to his pit box yet.
I know why Matt Rod wants the treat. I know why Matt Rod wants the treat.
Oh boy, Paglia's gonna get out pit lane first. Jeffrey's out second, and Richie out in third. So basically, as they came down is as they leave, and I understand why Matt Rod wants a treat, but I don't think that.
I think
actually,
Trick would be better. I think Trick would just the race just takes on a whole new format because everyone's all of a sudden got to strategize so much better. So I don't know, Chad, if you're gonna change your mind, you've probably only got another half lap to go before to settle it out.
Gonna find out if these drivers are gonna have to be looking for broccoli and their Snickers, or if they're going to have to change zip codes, because it's gonna be, depending on the answer of this, is going to make some drivers very happy. Other drivers are going to be rolling their eyes. But Mark Paglia is going to be the leader for now. It's going to be Jeffries in second. Dante Ritchie and Greg Lovell will be in the fourth position. Then it's going to be Wesley and Roberts. Now, what do you say? What do you say down there, Scott? What's the chat saying down there?
Well, it's just been locked in. So I'm going to start off by saying what we're not doing for this restart. So we chose the treat. The treat was the rule that was chosen. The trick would have been the field will be inverted from driver's lineup at 1 to green, which is right now. So we just crossed for 1 to green. The whole field would have been inverted. A slow pit stop would have meant that you were on pole for this next restart. The treat, the double orange line now at the bottom of the track, is not an out of bounds rule. You can use the below the apron surface to race. However, the cars above you do not have any requirement to let you back in. If you go below that orange line and you cause a caution by doing so, that's on you. But you're allowed to go down there.
Oh boy, these drivers are now going to be able to use every bit of the racetrack, and that back straightaway, well, that's just a big extension of the racetrack. Green flag back out in the air, I think. No, they're going to go around again. They're going to go around again. So looks like that Paglia wanted to go. You can see him speeding up a little bit. He was ready, but we are going to go around one more time. So that rule, if you're not familiar with the double yellow line rule, and if you're a fan of Superspeedway racing, how do you not know? But
it's Hallowdega, so it's not double yellow line. It's
the double orange line, yeah.
And it's the pumpkin line.
The pumpkin line. Basically, the pumpkin line is the, basically what it means is that's an out-of-bounds line for anyone who's unfamiliar now. Now that we've gotten rid of that rule, you see all this big, massive apron we've got down there? That is all usable real estate. All these drivers can go all the way down to the inside wall if they want to. But as Scott said, no one has to let them back up. So it's a risk reward. Do you go down there and, risk not being able to be let back up, or
I think this is a trick and a treat.
It's gonna be a trick for whoever's leading the race.
Yeah, but it's the treat for everybody else that's gonna go down there. You go down there, but it's the merging back in that's the trick, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
Quite literally. Yeah.
Time. Do you want chocolate-covered orange juice? What? Anyway.
Chocolate-covered orange juice? Is that what you just said?
I mean, everything's orange here. It only makes sense, doesn't it? Nothing makes sense about this race. Mark Patria will be the leader of the race, and I said that he was going to be the leader for now because I didn't know what the rule would have been, but thankfully he does not have to give up his lead position, and everyone else is lining up okay. Driver at the tail end of the field is going to be not the pace car. It's going to be Jessica Shelton. She's gotten her lap back, and Matthew Rodriguez will actually be our last place driver. Everyone is on the lead lap. Everyone that is still running. We have 3 retirees. Actually, I think we have a little bit more now that have decided to park it, but we'll get to them in a minute as we are getting ready to go back under green. Stage 3 out of our 3 stages tonight. Green flag is in the air this time around. Paglia is out. Everyone behind them settles in line. They're going to try and protect that inside line as much as they can, but now protecting the inside line means you have to go all the way down to the inside wall.
Yeah, we'll see how many drivers actually opt for that. If honestly, in the early running here, I'm playing my cards close to my chest. I want to do some reading. I want to see what other guys can do down this backstretch all the way down to that inside wall. Then I'll have a little bit of a think about it. I'll watch what they're doing. I'll watch how much ground they make up, and then I'll make a call on things.
No one electing to go down there quite yet. There's no need to. Single file throughout most of the field as they thunder into turn 3. I've noticed something that's kind of taken place also is that everyone is wanted now to run in that middle line. Everyone was...
Caution.
There is a yellow out. What is the yellow for? It's Dylan Young that's gone around. Seth Cole's gone around, and Michael Norman with a smoking car. And make that... Pavlon is on the pit... Or is spun around the pit lane. Oh, Matthew Rodriguez has been involved as well. And maybe Sidenor's been involved.
That's disappointing for Rodriguez because, it's never been a good... Oh, the right-hand side of the Blame Shelley Insurance Seth Cole machine is all kinds of messed up.
Ugh. That has definitely won the award for most spooky race car on the field. Have to take a look and see what happened to put us under this yellow flag, as it involved quite a number of drivers at the back of the pack. I wonder if it was just them stacking up again. The same part of the racetrack that we saw the last... Oh, Seth Cole went for a flip.
The 47 was down below the orange line, so this will be on him for causing that one. So he comes back up. He'll get NEOL out of this.
And we're taking a look and see what happened here. We're looking on the Seth Cole machine. He's at the top side of the racetrack. That's Dylan Young behind him. It's Michael Norman. Actually, that's Greg Sidnor in front of him. Both of these drivers all 3 of these drivers were involved. And yeah, there it is. Down on the inside line, it's Andrew Miller that goes for a sideways moment on the inside line. Pops onto the flat part of the apron. Pops back up onto the racing surface. Doesn't quite slow it down. Actually, Sidnor hit the wall. Everyone stacks up. And it's going to be Dylan Young initiating the contact. Up into Seth Cole. Then Michael Norman, just nowhere to go, falls into it. And that all 4 of those drivers up and into the outside wall. And a lot of drivers taking hard shots on the way up as Seth Cole gets hit again by Michael Norman. I think it's going to send him... Yeah, it's going to send him flipping over at the hands of the 22.
So it looks like the 47 actually got loose. Probably clipped the apron, got loose, dives below the apron. So it wasn't a move to get down. Because I was thinking, why are you below the apron in the middle of the turns? He actually wasn't attempting to be below the apron in the middle of the turn. Because I didn't think I saw him down there early on. Gets a little bit loose, car shuffles down there. I think he might have caught the apron, shuffled back up, car gets loose, puts him completely below the apron, files back up, and then Seth's kind of just the innocent bystander.
Unfortunately, that takes out Seth Cole. It looks like his night's probably more than likely over. The right side of that car looks like a grave for what a car used to be. We do have a graveyard in the middle of the racetrack, so that might be where that car's going.
A Big Ben hidden somewhere around the racetrack as well.
And I'm not entirely sure why there is. It's not very Halloween-y. We do have a Big Ben. It might be a reference to Jack the Ripper, but I am not familiar enough. I know people are going to hang me up by a noose, but I'm not very familiar with Jack the Ripper lore, so wouldn't know.
hanging you up by a noose. I mean, that's kind of just like it's the season for that, isn't it? I'm
It
kind of
is.
tempted to ask for a pumpkin spice latte, to be honest with you.
Oh, I mean, I've had a pumpkin spice latte already this season, and that was the only time I've had a pumpkin spice latte.
Was it
No,
at least interesting? I've never had one before.
it's basically just sugary coffee with that tastes slightly like a pumpkin.
Tastes like autumn.
Yeah, and
Oh, sorry, tastes like fall. We're in America. My apologies.
it does taste like, oh, we say autumn here. It does taste like it do taste like the season, and we're certainly going to be moving into chai tea season, which is what Christmas and Thanksgiving to me tastes like. But I know that Australians don't have American
We're in the middle of
Thanksgiving
summer over
anyway.
here.
Exactly.
We
Yeah,
just
Southern
drink beer.
Hemisphere. You know, I want to be there right now. I really do.
No, you don't. For those of you who don't know, cricket is the summer sport of Australia. It's literally us sitting out in the middle of a hot summer Australian day, out in Australia. Well, yesterday, it would have been warmer to play cricket in the middle of winter. I wish I had a jumper to play out there yesterday. It was a weird feeling. So maybe you don't want to be over here right now.
And a fact that everyone probably didn't know about Scott is he plays cricket. So
Australian baseball.
Australian, English. I think they're the
English.
It's pretty big in India too. So anyway, we have a race. Mark Paglia is still
Great
the
recovery.
leader of the race. And it's going to be Dante Ritchie, Ken Roberts, Jeremy Jeffries, and Grant Wesley. The spookiest thing that's happened on the racetrack so far is the fact that a couple of our drivers that have gone flipping are still on the racetrack, and Matthew Rodriguez is still running, which is spooky in of itself. And Paglia's had a great run tonight. I almost expect him to be one of the favorites at the end of this run. I'm not going to say anything yet because the old commentator's curse is going to get me in trouble, but knock on wood, I think that this might be one of Paglia's best runs in this race, and if he can get to the end of this race the way he's been running tonight, he might be able to take this entire thing. We're getting them lined up yet again. Paglia is the leader. A lot of drivers behind him hungry to get up to the lead of the race. Again, the double line rule is not in effect. Anyone can go down there. We only made it around about 3/4 of a lap before our caution came out, so no one has been able to use it quite yet. But you better believe that at the end of this race, they will probably be using that inside line to the extreme inside line to an advantage. But the green flag is going to come out. We are back underway in the restart zone. Paglia gets a great restart. He's going to pull out a bit of an advantage. That is open the door for drivers such as Ritchie. If he wants to fall in line, he can, and he does.
Yeah, so immediately on this restart, just get your car settled in. Let's get back into a restart. Let's get these cars fired up. Let's get them back up to speed. Let's see what we can do.
Down the back straightaway, lap 60, well over halfway of this race. About 90 or so laps still remaining in the special event. As looks like everyone
big wreck at the tail end of the field.
There is a big wreck. Yellow flag will come out again. That's going to involve a lot of drivers. It's going to involve Andrew Miller. Jessica Shelton looks like might have gotten a piece of it. And another time that we get only about 3/4 of the way through a lap. And I'm trying to find out who that is. That's Andrew Miller that spun. Seth Cole, I believe it says at the back of the pack. There's Stern. I don't know if he was involved in this one or not. And that looks like Rodney Sullins was the third driver involved.
I tell you what, Downey Ritchie is, I believe, just taking control of the pack too. So he may get control here, and he may take in fact, he has inherited the lead by just over 100th of a second. Is who will control this next restart. Although, to be fair, we're now at the point whereby I start thinking, do I want those few extra laps worth of fuel? Is that worth it to me? So you could see a couple drivers come down here for the splash and top off.
So that Jim Black was the one who spun around initially, got spun off the nose of the 11. That would have been Cole Baker that spun him around, and then Black just simply comes back up the racetrack. Everyone stacks up. Nowhere for anybody to go. There you see that is John Godfrey that got a piece of it. Actually, the 31 of Poteet was already sliding, trying to avoid. He gets into Shelton. Up the racetrack goes Black and Sullins into the outside wall. Black goes over for a spin, and Jessica Shelton being bounced off of Dylan Poteet's going to be shot up the racetrack. She hits the outside wall. Extremely difficult. She just got back on the lead lap. So not the way they want to keep their race going. And Jim Black goes for several rolls down into turn 3. Oh, wow. It lifts the front end off of the 9 machine as well. So another big hit for the 9. That might be a car in a similar position as Seth Cole's machine.
Yeah, which is disappointing. I mean, we talked about like the issues that she had early with the pit stops and getting a penalty very early on. Spent a lot of the race trying to get back up to speed. I just see Matt Rodriguez just completely and utterly make sure that his machine will never be able to get back up to full speed, rear-ending Seth Cole. Been a love between those guys for sure.
I wonder
Don't fire me, Matt. Don't fire me. I'm not saying you're a bad driver. Don't fire me, please. I like my job.
I wonder what happened to Andrew Miller. I think, and this is slightly slowed down, I think that Miller simply looped it around on his own while trying to avoid this incident. Again, this is slowed down a little bit, and all the chaos happening in front, and yeah, he just goes to the apron on that transition. Always trying to avoid the 4. Gets in the grass and starts sliding, and he does end up with some more damage, and I wonder if he slid into the inside wall. I don't think he would have. Now he just looped it around, so that is the only thing that happened to Andrew Miller. Thankfully, no damage at least.
Well, I just discovered why Matt Rodriguez is 15 laps down.
Oh?
He's been driving through the grass on the front stretch kink.
Aha!
All of his own, spinning the car out, having some fun.
He's in there to have a good time.
Oh, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, that's really what this event's all about. It's just having a
for
good time
sure.
tonight. Yeah, having a great time tonight. We are on lap 62 of 104. Running around the racetrack. Greg Seidnor is electing to come down the pit lane along with, oh goodness, Seth Cole just got a little bit of contact with, aforementioned Matthew Rodriguez, as the two of them continuing to have a laugh as, well, there's 66 out onto the infield as trying to get back onto the pit lane. It's all about having a good time. He's out there mowing the lawn. Well, what's left of the lawn anyway.
Blame Shelley Insurance.
Blame Shelley Insurance.
It's about to become Blame Shelley Lawn Care.
It is that time of year for shenanigans, so maybe he's thinking, he's picking out where he will eventually be buried. Tristan Allen coming back out on to the racetrack. Seidnor also on Matthew Rodriguez, debating with his pit crew whether or not punting another driver is good for business, but he owns the business, so it's not much of a conversation to have there. And wouldn't you know it, but we have a new race leader, and I don't think it was anybody that took the lead of the race under this last time around, or at least under green flag conditions, as I think he took it under pit stops. But that would be Joseph Landy Palvin now on to the lead of the race. So brand new face. Now he's got Grant Wesley to his outside. Dante Ritchie, Mark Paglia, and Greg Lavelle will be in the top 5. And this is going to be an interesting restart for these guys. I don't think that we've seen the 68 at the front this early on.
No, I think this is one of the first times we've actually seen the 68 up this far. So whether or not I had to step up, go make myself a coffee because it's still morning and whatnot over here. So I'm still trying to keep myself awake, keep myself kicking. So I didn't see the pit stops, if I'm going to be honest with you. So I'm not 100% sure who are the takers here, and that's going to be the critical factor. You're going to see if for Landy Pavlon to be up here, there's no way he could have come down and made a pit stop unless the entire field made a pit stop. So I have a feeling we've got some split strategies starting to play out.
It is the long stage, the longest stage of the night. So throwing out some strategy to see. It couldn't make it to the end of a short stage with a full tank of fuel, so having to do it twice is going to be a challenge for these drivers. Green flag back in the air. Can we complete a lap under green is going to be our question. We're going to find out as, well, Pavlon
40 to
goes
go.
to the bottom of the racetrack. They've already started to squirrel out behind them.
Yeah, I think you're going to start seeing... It's not necessarily the time to get super antsy, super aggressive about it, but you're starting to see guys just want to pick their allies, who they're really running with, and keep your eyes on that arrow machine that's buried back in the pack. That thing's been up at the front a few different times throughout this race. He's got pace, he knows what he's doing, and he's been able to cut his way through the field. Start to see that?
Whoa.
Yeah. And nobody wants to work with Landy Pavlon. He is just going to get abandoned here.
Well, Pavlon getting left out to dry, tries to force his way back up. That was spooky. Pun fully intended, as Novsker, Tim Novsker's gonna go to second place. This is the first time we've seen him in the top 5 all night long. Now, this isn't abnormal to see Tim Novsker being at the front of the field. He was part of and I think is still part of a Superspeedway series here on the
Oh,
NR
I heard spinning in the back.
Oh, there is.
Yeah, another
around.
caution.
That's gonna be Ken Roberts around. So Ken Roberts goes around. I believe that's in turn 1. I think he's the only one that's gone around.
Well, Seth Cole and Dylan Young are both back there, but I'm thinking they're back there just on pace alone. Caution is out, so they will race it back, and we'll find out what's going on here.
Racing it back to the line. Richie out front. I don't think they race back to the line. I think it's a field frozen situation, so is the caution really out is the question. The solo car spin, so they might not have thrown it. We're going to find out after they get to the line.
No, they did. I heard it.
All right, Dante
Caution is
Ritchie.
out.
Dante Ritchie's going to inherit the lead of the race.
So I can tell you, so what's happened, I'm just having a quick look back. It's the 055 of Ken Roberts in the 2 car, which I believe is Dylan Young. So remember I said he was actually quite slow and a long way off the pace. So Ken's trying to give him a good old shove down the back line and then recognizes he's got more speed, tries to pull out, and Dylan tries to throw the block and just gets turned. So again, guys are just starting to get that little bit more aggressive. Guys are trying to, force the issue a little bit more. I don't think it's necessarily guys that are 100% saying, I want to be here right now, or I don't want to be here right now. I just think it's guys starting to go, I'm choosing to take this battle. Whereas earlier on in the race, I would have just said, I'm just going to let this happen.
There is a replay of what happened to the 2 of them, and exactly as Scott had mentioned, simply 2 cars getting together and
it was a late
sliding.
block by the 2, but yeah. It's a legitimate attempt to keep them both with the momentum and going forward. It's just really, really poor timing. That's just super speedway racing in its essence right there.
No one else got hit, and I don't think anybody actually hit the wall, so no extra damage for these guys, although their tires are going to be yelling at them for abusing them so much. So,
have you ever driven these cars? My tires are always yelling at me. I don't know what you're worrying about.
I mean, hey, these are pretty chungus of a car, so tires are always, holding up the weight of 1,000 armies. But Dante Ritchie is the leader of the race, and we have Dylan Poteet on the pit lane. I think he's trying an off strategy. I think the caution's starting to breed cautions. He definitely wants to, make sure that he's good to go. If he plays the strategy right, he may be able to pit in a good window to make it to the end of the race, but I don't know, given the fact I don't think that we can go more than 15 laps on a run.
Well, it's critical right now. You've got to come down and make a stop at some point, right? So you've got a whole bunch of guys. Obviously, the guys that are in the caution there have come down. But you've got Poteet, who's also come down pit lane. Tristan Allen's on pit lane doing a top off at this stage of the race. Murphy, you've got in the 12 car as well. Landy Pavlon, who's just pit from the lead. So these guys are starting to recognize there's a huge differential between my maximum tank size and what I've currently got in that fuel tank. I need that benefit. How do you win this race? You create a situation whereby you've got a pace offset from somebody somehow. One of those ways is drive the car as fast and as hard for as long as you possibly can. The benefit here, you stay up front, you clear those cautions. However, it means that you're going to be severely compromised in terms of fuel strategy. These guys are starting to get NNSC. This is a difficult spot to be in if you're any of these guys all the way back in the back of the pack, but they've now created themselves an advantage with that fuel number.
So, with our working of our 5th yellow flag of the night, and We are on lap 67 of 104, getting closer and closer to our fourth of the race, our final fourth of the race, and we've gone through some pretty big stages through this race. Of course, we've had some rules thrown into this race arbitrarily, or actually not arbitrarily, but voted in by the fans watching this event. Stage 1 was a pretty, no shenanigans stage. Everyone getting in line and filing out. Grant Wesley, the winner of that stage. And then stage 2, bit more on the racy side as they went 2 and 3 wide throughout most of the field. Again, a 3 wide start was the stipulation for stage 2. Everyone got out of stage, or got through the starting process pretty well, and they were able to ride out most of the stage without incident. There was, I believe, one yellow flag that came out for incident, and that took out a few drivers as well. But that one was won by, and I can't seem to find him. There's Grant Wesley. He's still running up here. That one was won by, it was Josh Metallic who beat everyone to the line, I believe. So he, actually, no, he was leading. He got beat out by Mark Paglia, I believe it was. It was either I don't know why I can't remember. It was either Metallica or Paglia. No, Paglia was leading. Josh Metallic, I believe, made it to the line first. So he will be one of these two drivers, I believe, won stage 2. I don't know why my brain fails me there, but and then now stage 3 has been nothing but a few laps ran, and these drivers, they know it's go time. They want to get to the front and they want to make as much progress as they possibly can, but they have to have a limited amount of resources and able to do that. Now the double orange line rule is no longer in effect, so as far as them having that out of bounds range and only being able to use the lanes on the racetrack, they have more options for racing surface, especially down the back straightaway. But the problem is, I don't know if they want to use it right now, and
not yet.
With them getting antsy, I don't know if they even want to try and force too many issues. We've spent most of the stage 3 under yellow.
Yeah, no, I think, yeah, right now, a lot of these drivers, what they're trying to do is just get themselves back into green and get themselves back under green running. That's their first priority. Past that, once we get to that 15 run, once we get that green flag fuel stop, then you might start to see a few cars start to just experiment. Remember what I said a few laps ago, right at the start of this stage? You're going to see guys want to go below that that pumpkin line, and you're going to want to see them venture down there, see what they can find. Then you're going to have other guys who's just sitting there and they're just watching. Okay, that guy moved up half a spot. But what did he lose when he returned to the lane? Well, he lost probably 1.5 spots, so he's got to hang on to it. We'll see what happens that way.
And our Flatbot has just reminded us to drink water and stay hydrated. So you fans, remember to also drink water, stay hydrated. We're back under green for our 6th time tonight, if you don't count stage cautions. So Dante Ritchie getting us back underway, and Grant Wesley filing into a 2nd place position, and Lavelle filing into 3rd place. Leaning on each other is Elliott and Gunther, Nick Gunther. This is the first time we've seen Nick Gunther in the top 5. He's made his way up through the field. Yeah,
and again, guys, remember what I said. Guys wanting to pit, and guys not wanting to pit. So obviously you're going to start seeing a few different faces up towards the front at this point in time. They haven't opted to come down pit lane. They want to keep themselves towards the front. But I tell you what, I'm keeping my eyes on that arrow machine. It's got my attention. That's a shortcut spinning. Oh, I think he saved it.
He did. He has saved it somehow. That would be Hall, Zachary Hall. He's gotten back onto the racetrack. No caution. Did save the race car.
I gotta see that one again from his view.
That
I don't know if he caught the apron. No, he caught the apron. He made contact with Jessica Shelton and then just saved it down the infield. That was an amazing save. That's really good heads-up driving.
The hands working in that machine must have been furious, but saved it. So fantastic driving, and that saves us from going under caution again. Dante Ritchie still leading the race, and they're awful racy back here for 5th on back, and that inside line's trying to form again. That middle line has gotten extremely powerful, and now it's even tough for the inside line to make any headway. Someone else jumps down to the inside. It's going to be Chris Elliott trying to get some headway. Talking about that aero machine, that's Josh Metallic. He's shown himself in the top 5 pretty much all night, and if he stays here, he has a pretty good chance of taking this whole thing. Now, Metallic's had a lot of Superspeedway experience, not won this race specifically, but has a good shot at doing it right now.
Yeah, and Metallic's been aggressive when he needs to be aggressive too. Right now, he recognizes just to be a little bit patient here. We just got to settle this down. We need to run 5 to 10 laps worth of green flag running before I start to think about making some moves. Right now, I just want to look after myself. I want to look after that race car. I don't want to be I don't need to be in a great position right now, but I need to be in a position where I can make those moves when I want to. And sitting where he is, he's in the perfect spot to do that.
Behind him, you've got drivers such as Cole Baker, who has had pretty quiet evening running. He's actually made a little bit of contact with some drivers, but he is still running right now in a 5th position. He's under contest with that Chris Elliott. To the inside of him, or to the behind him, you've got Jeffrey Elliott. So 2 of the Elliots, Chris and Jeffrey, running right behind each other. And you've got Tim Knopfskirp behind them. This inside line is making some headway, but not as quickly as we saw earlier in the race. And that kind of nullifies the double line rule of being eliminated, is that now that line, or the line that you expected to benefit the most, doesn't seem to work anymore.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, you know, there's more rubber laid down right across the track surface and stuff at this stage. Again, not enough knowledge of NR 2003 to know whether that's going to play a huge factor. But it's just that middle line. It just seems it's got the benefits. It's got not the full benefit of running at the shortest portion of the racetrack, but not the full loss of running down there either. So it's got a little bit of the momentum. It's got a little bit of the shortness to it. So it seems to be that quick line. I have a feeling if these guys wanted to, they could migrate to the top line and make it work as well.
Jeffrey Knopfskirp was basically pushing, Tim Knopfskirp was basically pushing Jeffrey Elliott down in through turn 1 and 2. Almost, it could have been bad. It could have clipped the right rear deck lit and sent him around, but did not do that, as slowly chipping away at this middle line, as he's now gotten alongside of the 4th place driver of, that would be Cole Baker. Cole Baker defending well, but not defending well enough, as he's going to lose the position, I think, going into turn 1. As the inside line now picking up momentum behind. Even further still, you've got Bob Simonera. He is our defending winner of this race, the Hallowdega special event. He's trying to go back-to-back and be the first driver to take multiple wins in this event. We've run a total of 6 of these races, this one being, I believe, the 7th. No one has been able to double down yet. There are 2 drivers in this field. We mentioned at the top of the program, 2 drivers in this field that have that opportunity, but so far, one of them has been heavily damaged. You can see him back there in that yellow car. That's Joey Murphy. He is trying to go for his 2nd Hallowdega win. He won back in 2016. Bob Simonera trying to go back-to-back. And now, Bob Simonera, of the 2 of them, have the better chance now, given the fact that Murphy's got some damage from an earlier incident. Murphy is still up to speed. I don't know if he's top 10 up to speed with the damage he's got on, but he can still be in this field. If something were to break out, he might be able to benefit from it. And for Bob Simonera, wanting to go 2 in a row, that adds a lot of weight to why you're racing.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, you know, just to stick your name on this, again, there's another caution has come back out once again, so something's happened towards the tail end of that field. I think we've lost the back end of this lead pack. We've lost so many cars right now.
Yeah, we have lost a lot of cars. There's a car blinking out in front of these guys. That was Greg Lavelle.
Gunther is the car that's around.
There is a car around. Nick Gunther, the 55. Don't think it's going to be yellow flag out for this.
Tell you what, the Fortnite schemes are out in force tonight. And
Ken
we're also
Roberts
out in force as a part of the cautions.
Yeah, Ken Roberts is slow as well. There might have been some contact. There's a battle back here between Rodriguez, Seth Cole, and Zachary Hall. There's Nick Gunther, the one that spun around, trying to get back on up to speed, and the yellow flag is going to be out for that. So what happened to Nick Gunther is the question.
It's an odd one. I'm just looking at the replay at this point in time, and it's difficult because he's got pace. There's a checkup in the line. They're single filed out. There's a checkup in the line, so he goes to get out of that, and then the car behind him attempts to follow him, but doesn't do so at the right times and makes contact. Again, it's just really, really poor timing. He goes to make the move to get out of line and start making up some places. The guy behind him wants to go with him, but doesn't make a clean contact with his rear bumper, and it just forces the car around.
That sent him down right in front of Joey Murphy. Pings off the side of Jessica Shelton, goes back up the racetrack, up in to the second of our 255s. That's a 055 of Ken Roberts. And those two I believe, will have sustained the most damage out of all this. So multi-car incident will put us under the yellow flag for the 7th time tonight. As it was just a racing deal. I think it was just too many cars on the racetrack at the same time, and they all wanted the same real estate.
Well, I mean, you can see the 55s. He's, like I said, he's trying to take a run, and he's trying to take it somewhere. It's the difference of the first two stages, isn't it? In the first two stages, you make up ground, but then you're just getting reset, and things are happening, and there was rules to play their way out. There wasn't a huge deal of reason to get aggressive, to really start showing your way around the racetrack. It was about reading everyone else that was out there alongside you. It was about reading the race, trying to make the lessons that you possibly could. See maybe how long you could extend it on fuel under that. So you saw a lot more patience from the driver. Now, at this stage of the race, well, that's just all being thrown out the window. This stage does matter. This stage is going to crown itself a champion. So all of a sudden the stakes are a lot higher. The guys, they've got a lot less patience for these sorts of things, because if they can grab 2 spots now and then settle back into the line and then wait another 3 or 4 laps, grab another 2 spots, that kind of forward progress is what you need to win the races. So you can see that Gunther, yeah, I mean, it's an aggressive move to go to the outside, but he's got impetus to get to that outside line and start to try and push his way forward. So I think it's a good move, and I just think it's poor timing from the car that's coming behind that makes that contact and look to the draft. But that's also super speedway racing in a nutshell right there.
So off the pit lane, we have drivers that have made some pretty bold moves under pit. We have a new leader in Garrick Sidenor. He is now leapfrogged up through the field. I don't think he took tires his last time by, or if he did, they were only right sides, but nonetheless, the 16 has inherited the lead of this race. Behind him, you have Dante Ritchie, who will be in 2nd place, Grant Wesley in 3rd, Tim Nofsker and Jeffrey Elliott has gotten his way up into 5th position, and I think that's why Sidenor might have been the leader. I don't know, can't confirm, but he might have missed his pit stall. He's coming back down on the pit lane, having gone through our candy cane, or not candy cane, but candy corn pit lane entry. Hot take on candy corn. Anyone who likes them is a psychopath, because I don't know how you can like that.
I've never had it.
Don't.
The candy corn cone.
It's basically just imagine eating a sugary caution cone. That's basically what a candy corn is. It looks like a caution cone. It tastes like a caution cone.
there's a caution cone with a little bit of sugar on top, I imagine.
Yeah.
There's a sweet end of the deal, but then it just tastes like rubber the rest of the way down.
You can get the same experience by finding a construction site and licking one of the caution cones and putting a bag of sugar in your mouth. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, I mean, compare American food to the rest of the world. It's just like putting a bag of sugar in your mouth plus whatever that food tastes like.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever experienced really what food is supposed to taste like.
We can get into some very political topics, so we've got to be careful, right?
I digress with the statement. Right now, Dante Ritchie is going to inherit the lead again. Grant Wesley will be in 2nd now. Everyone moves up a spot. We have a car going for a ride back there. That would be
It's
Seth
Matt
Cole.
Rodriguez. What? No, okay.
That would be Seth Cole. Has made a visit to the inside retaining wall. At the gift of Matthew Rodriguez.
Yeah, these guys are having fun. This is what it's about. This is why we drive race cars. To see them
they're broken.
driving in a straight line, right? You mean, oh wait, oh straight, oh, okay.
You're drag racing, yes. That's what we should do. We should have the NR 2003 Nationals.
Yeah, let's go drag racing. Do you want to do it? They have Sonoma on here, right?
I believe they can get one. That'd be fun. I don't think we've ever done a drag racing event. Seth, if you're listening, next special event, drag racing. And speaking of drag racing, it's going to be a drag race to get to the lead of the race after we take the green flag.
Don't mind the 72 chat. Just ignore him. He's just having fun. He's like 15 laps down or something. So
Yeah, don't mind him. He at this stage is running around for the heck of it. Into the Shelley Insurance restart zone, or the Blame Shelley restart zone. Dante Ritchie gets us back underway, side by side going into turn 1. Back behind them, we've got someone peeking to the inside. That's Josh Metallic trying to peek his way to the inside. He's got no one to help him.
No, he's gonna drop like a rock unless he can get some assistance real quick. So the benefit was, at least whilst he was on the inside line, shorter way around the racetrack, he was at least gonna go somewhere. But now there's no assistance down there, and now there's other cars that are going, hey, well, they're starting to get some momentum. They're starting to get formed up. We may as well just dive down there.
Oh, there's 3 wide. Bob Simonera in the middle of that 3 wide situation. Jeffrey Elliott on the outside, almost looking 4 wide, was back behind them.
Caution, caution! I can hear another spin back in the background.
And that is multi-cars. That's Seth Cole again involved, and we've got Mark Paglia involved.
Sidenor is involved in this one as well. I'm not even going to mention that Seth Cole and Matt Rodriguez are part of that. They just seem to find their way into every caution. But yeah, Greg Sidenor, unfortunately, goes to the back of the pack with that last pit stop and finds himself a part of something that I don't think he was meant to be.
Garrett Sidenor now going onto the pit lane. Mark Paglia, which is running at the front much of the night, has found his way into some hardships. What happened between these drivers? Looking back here to find out, I think it actually happened in front of these guys. And that would have, there was a guy on the apron, and I think it all started with Tristan Allen.
Yeah, big check up, and then back of the pack just didn't respond to it. So
right, looking at Tristan Allen going into turn 3, gets a little piece of the apron. And I think the car just wanted to go on the inside. I mean, there's no rule against it, so why not have a go at it? But I don't think that's what Allen wanted to have happen as he hits the flat part of the apron. Car bounces back up, everyone stacks up. And actually, I don't think this had anything to do with it. In fact, looks like it was Paglia getting into Sidenor, and that's what caused them to go up the racetrack.
Yeah, so Paglia's... Remember what I said about you're just not able to see what's going on up ahead of you? Actually have a look at it from the 428's cockpit perspective. He has no visibility of the car that's down on the apron. There's no way that he could have seen that because he was towards the higher side of of Sidenor's bumper. So his effectively, that car on the apron is just in a complete blind spot. Everyone's checking up, and the only car the 428 can see is the 16, and the 16 doesn't check up until late.
Quickly on board, thundering in the car. Yeah, he can't see. Well, he can see a little bit of it. I think everyone checked up a little bit, and then just got in, and I ended up getting hit twice. That's Paglia, unfortunately. He had a great run tonight, so that's going to be a shame that he has gotten so much damage. As now he's going to have to get that car repaired, and is actually getting it repaired on the pit lane right now. We see him on the pit road. So too is Matthew Rodriguez. So too is Seth Cole. So too is Sidenor, as we'll come back down to pit lane. So Dante Ritchie will continue to be in the lead of the race as we are again under another caution. It seems like the theme of stage 3 is, it's go time. Not a whole lot of places to pass, and drivers are starting to get desperate.
I think for next season, they really need to rename this flag and recolor it. It's got to stop being the yellow flag. It's time for it to be the pumpkin flag.
Oh, yeah, we need to raise the orange flag.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Seth?
Speaking of games and stuff that we were mentioning in the chat, obviously, you've kicked off a thing about drag racing over in the chat. I hope you know that. So, are you excited for, A, Gran Turismo 7, I think it is, but B, Need for Speed Underground 2 remake?
I'm excited for the Need for Speed remake. I'm not much of a Gran Turismo guy.
I miss, it doesn't matter, that Need for Speed sort of builds your car up. That's what I'm interested in, which is why Gran Turismo is good, because it offers, the racing pedigree version of that, which is why I like it.
I am excited for some of the racing games coming out, though. And I recently discovered that you can buy, I think, Need for Speed Carbon, which is one of the ones that I grew up with. I think you could buy that
Mm-hmm.
on, I think, the Epic Game Store. I think they
Oh
announced that
my
they were going to
god!
have it.
Yes,
But I
please.
can't confirm that that's going to happen. I heard somewhere that they might release either that or it's going to be on Origin because I think EA owns it. So that would be interesting if they added there. I'm excited if they do that. But yeah, I'm excited for a lot of the up and coming racing games that are hitting the shelves, and especially
You know what the
well, I
best
would
part
say
about
Forza,
Underground
but
2?
I've not been a fan of Forza recently, so
I mean, the big part about Forza was probably like engine swapping. That was like
that was good.
grabbing like a Datsun, like one of those little old tiny cars, and slapping like a V12 engine in it was the best part. The cars just light up everywhere because it's got no weight in it. The tires didn't have enough grip on the ground. It was just literally four-wheel drifting everywhere.
My fondest memory of Forza was in Forza 4, and I think they didn't do this after Forza 4, but their corner cutting prevention was to have you actually just stop if you tried to corner cut, uh, which made racing at Le Mans very fun. Because we would try to like blaze through the four chicanes, and then our car would come to like a dead stop through there. Great for if you like really wanted to upset someone else, just punt them off the racetrack. It's good.
Imagine the simulated driver's brain hemorrhaging from the
Oh,
G-forces of that stop.
going from 180 to nothing. Oh, jeez.
Oh, oh man! But I'm so excited to like stick NOS bottles and things with colored NOS sprays, and you just like purge the NOS and do the magazine shoots. Like that was the real fun for me of Underground 2.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Underground 2, undoubtedly one of the Need for Speed
The
Underground and
all-time
Underground
greats.
2. Yeah, just everything about Underground was great. I remember subject for later. We're about ready to go back to green, but uh, Dante Ritchie will be the leader of the race. Grant Wesley and Tim Nosker, your top three. We're getting set to go for our 7th restart of the evening. I believe it's our 7th restart as into the Shelley Insurance or Blame Shelley restart zone. And this time around, it looks like Wesley might have gotten the advantage off as we thunder into turn 1 again, everyone side by side. Now continue the chat with this thought. I remember playing Need for Speed, I believe it was Hot Pursuit, was one of my favorite ones. That was an old one. That was
Back
like
on
in the 90s.
PlayStation 1?
Yeah, that was back in the 90s.
Oh my god, I had that game.
Oh, it
No
was
way.
fantastic. I love it. I had it for
I
PC.
loved racing for pink slips, like effectively, was what it turned into
Yeah.
in the subsequent games, whereby you still, like, if you beat someone, you get their car.
It was fantastic. And there was another one that I played. I think it was High Stakes was the other one that I played.
No,
a lot.
that was high stakes. Yeah, that was high
Yeah.
stakes. Hot Pursuit was with the police chases and
Yeah,
things.
High
And then high
Stakes
stakes come out, and you could get the chopper,
Yeah, High Stakes.
a racer.
Oh, I remember vividly having memories of those games being like super 3D and super realistic, and then I played them
I know.
later as an adult, and I'm like, these polygons.
Did you know? Actually, did you know that with Need for Speed Underground 2, that depending upon which platform you were on, it gave you a different starting car. So for the PC, your starting car would be a Nissan 240 SX.
Ah, I did not know that. I remember racing around a Lamborghini Diablo, I believe it was, that they gave you as the one of the starting cars, and that was heaven. Especially it was an older Diablo. I forgot what year it was. But it was an older Diablo. It had the boxy exterior with the basic 90s aerodynamics. It was a treat to drive, but horrible in the turns.
And the old, like, that was the game that started my my love affair for Porsche. Another caution's actually going to come out here, and we got 20 to go. So
The caution is out. That would be Ken Roberts up against the outside retaining wall. Again, the 055 finds himself in hardships. What is the cause of this incident, I wonder?
oh, 3 just comes up from. He doesn't recognize that he's 3 wide because the 3 gets a huge run underneath him and it's not formed up in line and just gets to his rear quarter.
That is exactly what happened. 3 wide. Bob Simonera was down on the extreme inside line. Actually got a piece of the curb, and yeah, the 3 just up and into our 05. That would be David Cannon that sends the 055 up and into the wall. I actually collected the 68 along with him, so multi-car incident. And that is what puts us under caution for our 8th time tonight. Pretty tame by comparison to the other crashes we've seen, but again, Ken Roberts was one of those drivers that had damage on his car from an earlier incident, so finds himself again with some hardships. Actually take a ride on board with the 055.
Get prepared to get dizzy.
Yeah, he goes around pretty quickly. And he came into the turn and he was holding it down. He didn't seem like it was going to be an issue, and then all of a sudden he just gets whacked and goes around, and there's a view from Ken Roberts that just got tagged and hard hit in the wall.
Like I said on those last couple of cautions as well, it's just a lack of patience now. Patience is just steadily running out. We're so close here at this stage of the race to actually being able to run to the end of the race. 18 laps is the distance from here to home, and with a couple caution laps to go here, if these guys can save enough fuel, they are good to the end. If we get another caution, most of the field will be good to the end. So there's a risk factor here for the guys that aren't going to come down pit road right now. They're risking, because a lot of these guys will be able to pit here and make it home, so they'll never get that track position back. They're literally buying a ticket saying that, hey, we should be good to go from here to the end of the race from here, basically. And everyone else that's not pit onto this last caution, they're just saying, we think there's going to be enough cautions that we don't need to pit, but if we get a green flag run, they're screwed. Unfortunately, that'll be their race over. So I'm looking at Ricci and I'm saying he's probably the guy for me that's good here, but it's going to be all down to this restart and how many spots he can grab here.
Dante Ricci was the first to come off the pit lane, followed by Tim Nofsker and Josh Metallic. The drivers who did not pit that last time by are as follows: Bob Simonera, Jeffrey Elliott, Dylan Young, surprisingly, even though he's got some damage on his car, has decided to stay out. Also surprising is Joey Murphy, one of our past winners, is also trying to get some track position with a damaged race car. And then you have Tristan Allen, Jessica Shelton, and Belding has stayed out on the racetrack as well. So those would make about 8 cars that would make that 7 cars that have stayed or elected to stay out. Charles Belding being the leader of these guys. So this comes into play exactly what Scott was saying. They're rolling the dice here on whether or not they can make it to the end of the race with as much fuel as they have left. Do you think that if we do, if the trend holds up the way it is, then it's more than likely we will have another caution before the end of this race if the trend holds up the way it is. That being said, is it still going to be close? They definitely have the strategy down, but I don't know. It just seems like we have more laps than we have fuel tank left. So.
Ultimately, right now, we're a caution away from these guys making them. So there's a few different things that potentially could happen at this point in time. The guys that are ahead, I'm not 100% sure. Like, I think the strategy here was a no-brainer to come down they're gonna try something. If they get a caution here every couple of laps, there is a window that they can make it, but I'm not sure when they last come down pit road. So this next, big initial restart issues.
Oh, Joey Murphy's gone around. There's a lot of drivers who have gone around, I believe. It's a start of chaos at the front of the field, and that's going to take Jessica Shelton out of the race. She's got a smoking engine. It's going to be pandemonium at the start as Dylan Young's gone backwards. Cole Baker's gone around. That was not the restart anybody was hoping for.
And look at Ricci. Ricci's actually going to try and get his way back to the head of this field right here, right now. Because this is a race back to the start-finish line. When they next cross the start-finish line, that's when the field will get frozen. Ricci is going for it. He's going to try and get the lead of this race back.
Here comes Ricci trying to get back to the lead. He's got to get around these guys. Jeffrey Elliott trying to hold on to the lead. You've got Bob Simonera behind him. I think that Simonera's more than content to push him as long as it keeps Ricci out of the lead of the race, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Jeffrey Elliott will cross the line as the leader.
Yeah, so that'll settle it down. Great push there from the 088. He grabbed himself a couple spots by tucking in behind Ricci and pushing Ricci back up to the 3rd spot. So that's a really good shove there from him. Great strategy, great recognition that, hey, I can't gain a heap of spots if I'm out here on my own. I'm going to shove somebody here.
So that is the move that might propel Jeffrey Elliott to a potential good finish tonight. Drivers that are at the back of the pack, unfortunately, had their restart kind of bogged down by other drivers. We're going to have to figure out what happened. I know that Joey Murphy at the start of the race just simply spun the tires. I don't think there was anything else that happened to him other than that. In fact, we're going to go back and take a look at his incident first, as it was the first. Actually, it was behind them, and we're going to see if we can get a camera angle here that can show you. It looks like this is about the best angle we're going to get for the start. Here is our restart. As they get into the restart zone, we're focused here on Joey Murphy. I think it's a push from the car behind him, and he starts actually, oh, there it is. Actually, it was Dylan Young that got spun around first off the nose of Kristen Allen, and that's going to send him up to the outside wall. You got drivers dipping to the inside to try and avoid. We know that Joey Murphy goes and pounds the inside wall. Dylan Young then comes back up the racetrack, gets hit again, and oh, goodness gracious, another big hit for Cole Baker, sends him upside down. 32 is sideways.
This all comes from a really poor restart, actually, from Bob Simonera. So that's actually what causes it. Simonera gets a poor restart, but gets immediately shoved from the car that's immediately behind him in the lane. The next car back is Dylan Young, and Dylan Young gets shoved, and effectively they all get shoved. It's just sort of like a banking up of a shove and a shove and a shove, and the guys are checking up and restarting all at the same time, and you're getting this huge accordion effect going right throughout the field, except for right at that point, it's the accordion's as condensed as it possibly can be.
So what my question is, how in the world did Jessica Shelton's car explode? And I think I know the answer. It's a tough break for Jessica Shelton. We're going to focus on her now. On the restart, when Dylan Young gets turned right in front of Shelton. Shelton takes it right on the front end of the car, the brunt of it right to the front end. You see, oh, Richie with a great job putting the brakes on to avoid Dylan Young. But then after the contact, I think she tries to get back up through the gears. I think that she blows her own engine. Because it's fine here, fine here. You can see that the 11 flipping over again. Still fine here. And then it just gives up on her about a little bit further up the road than I thought it was. But right there, it gives up the ghost. And that, I think she was just going up through the gears and just missed one. So unfortunate for Jessica Shelton. There was a couple more incidents that happened further up the road. We're going to quickly see if we can locate those.
Well, the issue in this moment, Anthony, is that you've got 40 cars that are entered in this race, right? At this stage, we've just lost a whole big pack of a whole bunch of drivers. So what's effectively going on here is it happens right at the front end of the field, which means the entire field's going to file through it. And what is the one portion of the race where the entire field is packed closely together, packed really tightly, and no one's got single filed out yet? It's that restart zone. So of course it's going to take out a whole bunch of the field, and nobody can see where it's happening. The track is real flat. You can't see a huge deal up ahead of you. So yeah, it's taken out so many cars. You said you lost Jessica Shelton, but we've also lost Cole Baker, Landy Pavlon, Matt Rodriguez, Rodney Sullins, Jim Black, Michael Norman, I believe, the cars that we've lost from that one.
Jovan Anderson, further up the racetrack, going out at turn 4, got down on the inside apron, spun the car around, and then got clobbered. Actually, 2 cars behind them. That was the cause of that one. You had Landon Palvin. That was one of the drivers that got crunched in after making contact with Ken Roberts, trying to avoid the spinning Anderson. And then that also gets David Cannon involved as well. That was coming down to receive the caution. So
but heads up, we're actually back on the green now as well, too. So there's a whole bunch happening.
Yeah, a lot to unpack back under green. Apologies for getting back to the green flag late. There was a lot to unpack in that
Oh, for sure.
last caution that came out. There's several incidents that happened throughout the racetrack. Bob Simonera is side-by-side. First side-by-side battle after a restart we've seen tonight between Tim Nofsker and, make that Bob Simonera and Jeffrey Elliott. Elliott on the outside line. The middle line has been the best so far, but can Simonera get to the lead of the race? Looks like he might have it, coming out of turn 3, make that turn 4. He's got the lead. He's got him to the outside clear. New leader, Bob Simonera.
Yeah, the run's coming, but it doesn't look like it's strong enough there to the outside at this point in time either. So it's starting to set up back to the inside. That looks to be the primary lane right now. And look at them. Immediately, they've got control. So they try to migrate back up this track and migrate that top groove that back up a little bit higher than they potentially want to be. The 56 car's running a fair bit lower now as soon as they enter this corner. But look at how organized, look at how far ahead that bottom line is.
And that bottom line has found some new life and is now actually migrated up to what is the middle line now, as Richie behind is pushing Simonera. Simonera has elected to go down to the extreme inside line, riding right along the double barrel or the double yellow line, or make that the double pumpkin line, as out of turn 4 again, there's a car back there that almost gap whacked the entire midfield, but has now gotten his internet straightened out as we complete another lap. We're closing in on 10 laps to go. This is the point of no return for a lot of these drivers. What do you have to do at this stage in the race if you want to make up this win?
Well, right now, if you're in the middle of the back of the pack, you got to get a move on, and you got to do it now. You cannot wait, because if you wait another 5 laps, you are not going to have enough time to get to the front end of this field. But at the same time, if you start to get on the move and a caution comes out, you're going to have nowhere to go. I think we're going to see these cars start to transition to that top side, particularly from the back end of the pack, and they're going to go to that 3-wide situation. You're going to start to see the aggression. They're not going to lift if somebody wants to try and get up there anymore. If you are trying to move from the middle line up to the top line, it's suicide at this point in the time if you're halfway through the field. I think you're going to see the guys at the back, they're going to start to boogie.
Right now, Bob Simonera still holding the lead. Now he's got Dante Ritchie pushing him throughout the tri-oval. No one has elected to go below the yellow, the double orange line. I'll get it right eventually. No one's gone below the double pumpkin line yet, but that might be coming into play. As much as Simonera is guarding that inside line, he might want to try, anyone behind him, Ritchie included, might want to try to use it at some point. I wouldn't be surprised if towards the end of the race we see people using it, or if they've even forgotten that it's a rule now. But we are within 10 laps to go, 9.5 as we go into turn 3 for what is to be probably one of the more intense parts of the race. I don't know if there's a point of no return. I don't think they would ever make that clear to us, but I would imagine that there is a lap that is the point of no return, and once they cross that, whatever happens, happens, and I believe it's within 2 laps to go.
Yeah, potentially. Because we're not, remember, this isn't iRacing. We're not going to get ourselves the green, white checkers here. The yellow, the pumpkin flag doesn't really do too much. It's all manually.
Whoa!
That's
And
the whole
that's a
field!
huge crash. The big one strikes. Everyone behind them is involved. That's Belding, that's flipping. Everyone's. Grant Wesley's involved. Richie's involved. Godfrey.
I think there's like 5, 6 cars that got through that. I think we're going to have 6 cars left in this race.
Metallic. Paglia again was involved. Anderson, I think, made it through that, but basically, pick a number. That driver was probably involved. There's Andrew Lemke with a broken car. His night's over. Belding is broken. Young is damaged. And there's cars on pit road. Battle for the line. Bob Simonera's got to get back to it. I think he will. We have 4 cars in a group. Simonera leads. This might be our top 5 to settle out this race.
Yeah, they're going to have to try and get this one settled down very, very quickly. Grant Wesley, his car's done. Josh Metallic, he's retired. John Godfrey, done. Jessica Sheldon, remember, she retired under the last caution. You have lost so many guys out of this field now. The field has thinned itself out, and the quality of cars that's left over, it's going to be that top 5, that top 6. They're going to be left to race this one out. I need to see this caution back. You thought there was a whole bunch to unravel under that last one. This one's even bigger.
And this is definitely in that point of no return where these drivers sensed it. They knew that the race was coming to an end. They had to make a move. We're within 10 laps to go. And it just broke. Something had to break. And I think it was initially Dante Ritchie where it broke first. Going into turn 2, or make that turn 1. Looking at it, focus on Ritchie. I think the contact happens.
It was the 28.
It was 28. Initially sends them around. And just pick a car, pick a driver. They're probably involved in it. It's just there's no way to be able to tell really who was and who wasn't. There's Jeremy Jeffries. He was involved. Looks like the 12 got some damage. Paglia got some damage. The 94 of Chris Elliott got damage. Rob Evans pounds the outside wall. And that's just
The
at
track
the
is
front.
blocked. There's just cars everywhere. You cannot find a clean way through. The 28 Belding, basically, he's just pushing that 84. He's pushing Richie forwards, and he just loosens him up. He makes non-square contact. It's in a corner. You got to be perfect with your bump drafting when you get into those corners. He wasn't, and that just sends the whole field around.
Gonna ride on board with Andrew Lemke. He saw a lot of it unfolding and was unfortunately involved in it as well. Going into turn 1 and take a look at the sights and sounds. A lot of damage on that car as it goes up and over, side to side, and I don't know if we have many cars left to finish this race out.
Go have a look at Poteet. Go have a look at the 31's viewpoint. He misses it by the skin of his teeth. The sea's parted. He found the way through.
Gonna go quickly take a look at it from Dylan Poteet's point of view, driver of the 31. And just the way he carves his way through this wreck, it's incredible. Look at this. Going through, he sees what's happening, he doesn't see it quite yet. But we'll eventually see the seas part open. There's the initial contact. Around with everybody at met. The inside line opened up for him. He was the lucky one on that inside line. Goodness gracious.
Okay. It's just come through on the radio. This is it. This is the last caution. From here on out, it is green flag the whole way, no matter what happens.
We're back to live action. There's a lot to go through in that crash, but we missed the start of the last time. We want to set this last restart out for you guys.
There's only 5-6 cars left, and I really... To be fair, you can see there's probably 20-something. There, in actual fact, there's 24 cars still on the lead lap at this point in time. But you've only got 5 or 6 cars that got through that without damage. This one, you're going to race it out with a couple of guys here.
Let's set up what is happened. Huge crash. The big one strikes at Hallowdega, as it tends to late in the run. So the Grim Reaper has claimed more souls tonight. We'll add to the graveyard in the middle of the racetrack.
And just remember, there's a fuel question mark over there. A few of these guys are up at the front here.
There is. Have they had enough cautions in this period to get to the end of the race? Only time will tell. We're going to set them up to the restart. Bob Simonera is the leader of this race. Bob Simonera is going for 2 Hallowdega wins in a row. I think the probability of him getting this win has opened up quite a bit. He's one of the few cars on the racetrack right now that has very little to no damage. To his outside, Jeffrey Elliott will be restarting in second place. This is great news for him as well. He escaped everything. Tristan Allen is going to restart in third position. Garrett Seidnor is going to be restarting in the 4th position. Dylan Poteet, after making that fantastic avoidance, will be in the 5th position. Then we have Zachary Hall making his restart in the 6th position. Then we have Stern in the 8th position, make that 7th. Then we have Ken Roberts in 8th. 9th will be Dylan Young. Nick Gunther will round out the top 10. These drivers on Dylan Young on back definitely have some forms of damage on their race cars. You can see back in the back of the pack, you have Jeremy Jeffries. He was involved last time around. Greg Lavelle, he's been involved in wrecks earlier this race. So too has Joey Murphy. He's also going for another Hallowdega win tonight. He still has a shot at it. Chris Elliott will be out here in 14th. Rob Evans, Tim Nofsker, John Godfrey, Mark Paglia, Seth Cole, Andrew Miller, Dante Ritchie, Jovan Anderson, and Belding will be our final drivers on the racetrack. Made that Andrew Lemke has gotten his engine repaired. He's back on the racetrack. So 24 drivers will be taking the restart. Will be taking the restart with 5 laps to go, I should say. This will be the last yellow flag. The next flag will be the checkered. Whatever happens tonight happens, as Bob Simonera going for 2 races in a row will get us underway. Once we get down to the Blame Shelley Insurance restart zone, We are back underway here at Hallowdega, and everyone got off the line well.
And have a look at that 56 car. He's been getting great restarts all night long. Simonera has not been quite as good. But the problem here is that he's gotten probably too good of a restart. He's got no support. The car behind him's actually dipped down to the inside line. So Jeffrey Ellis is going to fall a long way back. They're all single filed out here. He's got no support whatsoever.
Trying to find out what they can do. The inside, look at Lemke stepping out of line in the background, and there goes the WL. I think that was a forced exit down below the line, but they can use it. No one's elected to use it yet. It's a bit dangerous to use it the way they've been racing.
You're gonna see that change.
Oh yeah, definitely. As we come around out of turn 4, when we get to the line, 4 laps to go, and you can see them. They're already starting to get antsy as now the outside line tries to form. Simonera's gonna get left to dry. There goes Tristan Allen to the lead.
Yeah, all of a sudden, this 56 car that's been getting great restarts over Simonera, he's going to be Simonera's saving grace. He might abandon him here. No, Simonera wants to get an ally. He's found one in the 56 of Elliott.
Behind him, Dylan Poteet pushing now Tristan Allen down the end of the back straightaway with 3.5 laps to go. What does Poteet do? Does he try to move out of line? And if he does, will he have Stern? Will he have Hall? Will they go with him? We'll have to find out. That outside line with 4 cars now dips down the inside. They've gotten clear. Make that. Bob Simonera's gotten to the inside. He's going to try to rally a charge. He's got Jeffrey Elliott behind him.
Yeah, and if that 12 car can get up here, they'll become 3. All of a sudden, that weakness, because there are only 2 cars, starts to fade away. But they're 2 cars that are really well hooked up. I'm really worried, though. This outside line has just got too many cars. The 4 now says, hey, I want to contest this. I want to fight. I want to fight for a victory.
Poteet now slots back down to the inside. Check out the progress of Joey Murphy. He's fought his way through the field. Whoa, some contact with Jeffries, but he's made it through okay, I think. I was about to say the amount of runs that he's been getting, I cannot believe that car's still up to speed despite the damage he has, but that 12 car's got a shot.
Yeah, now Simonera's backed that run off. He's trying to time this run. He's trying to build a run and get it together at the right time. They're trying to back it off, trying to bring the 12 car up, but I really think just looking at that 12 car, he's got damage. Simonera sends it to the inside.
Simonera tries to get it stuck to the inside. He's gotten it stuck underneath the 4.
What do the leaders do here?
Got a big push. There goes Poteet trying to make a move, but I don't think he has enough room to do it. He got the door slammed on him with 2 laps to go.
That's it. 2 laps to go. Now Simonera, remember what I said. You've got to be at here. You've got to be in the right place at the right time to build the run at the right time. Simonera wanted to get himself up to P3 minimum because once he does that, he's in a great spot to try and build his run. At the 56 car, something's happened to him. He may have had a controller failure.
56 has gone out onto the outside wall. Will not be a factor in the finish of the
Simonera's lost his buddy.
Tristan Allen, I cannot believe, has been able to hold off this charge from Poteet. Here comes Joey Murphy. Can you believe the 12, despite the damage, has made it up this far? He's trying to go for his 2nd Hallowdega win. White flag is out. Now Poteet to the inside.
And I tell you what, they don't want to work together on this last lap. Banging doors, they're rubbing, baby. Remember, that pumpkin line, that is in play. Get below that, get a run on somebody and try and slam that door.
Here comes Murphy. Does he elect to use it? I don't think he remembers that he can. Poteet guarding that middle line. Where does Murphy go? Can he make a run, or will
they're out of fuel?
Poteet?
You know what it was? Simonera's out of fuel. All those guys, they're actually out of fuel. So it's these guys that actually come back down and topped off. That's why the 56 fell out.
Oh, there's more drivers running out of fuel behind them. There's a wreck behind him. Here comes a slow car. Can anybody is a wreck behind? Can Poteet be challenged? Here comes Murphy to the inside. It's not gonna matter. Dylan Poteet through the tri-oval will win Hallowdega 2021 after amazing wreck avoidance, getting to the lead, having some luck fall his way. He wins tonight.
But he set himself up on fuel. Remember what I said? We got to that 18 lap mark. A whole bunch of guys were expecting a ton of cautions. They opted not to come down pit lane. I think Poteet was one of the guys that did come down pit lane, and then he just got lucky. He got through. He managed to get by the wreck. Things just fell his way under that wreck. He was the big lucky winner. Everyone else that come down and didn't have a fuel question mark, they were good because they got involved in that wreck. Poteet was the only one to get through. You got the 12 car of Murphy, and if you have a look, the 56 fell off. He just ran out of fuel. There was nothing left over. I completely forgot about it. The fuel was even a big question mark.
And it came down to the final lap where most of these drivers were close on fuel. It's a congratulatory bump from Joey Murphy. Murphy almost got his second win at Hallowdega. That would have been intense. Here comes another driver. That's Andrew Miller. And Dylan Poteet, who has had pretty bad luck at this race, all things considered. Not being able to get a win done. I don't think he's had that many top 5s, come to think of it, or even top 10s. Tonight, does it. Goes all the way. Gets the win. He will get to burn it down at Hallowdega. 2021 goes to Dylan Poteet. And again, it does come down to that fuel strategy, and he missed the big wreck.
Well, it's so many engines out here tonight, Anthony. They gave up the ghost, and I mean that with all pun intended. So many guys out here, they were using the spirits that were left over in their fuel tank, and they ran out of spirits towards the back end of the race. There was nothing left for them to go forwards on. Their engines, well, they just turned into zombies, and, well, zombies, you got to supply them with brains, and there was no brains left in those cars to get them to the end.
Dylan Poteet burning it down one day before Halloween. You gotta admit that I don't think he's thinking about the spooks of Hallowdega anymore. He's exercised his demons in a way, because this race has always been bad to him, but now he's been able to conquer it, and this has got to be great news if you're anybody who's had similar luck. You gotta set your sights on next year. Man, this is a special occasion for this 31 team. Your top...
Go on, Poteet. Go burn it down in the graveyard. There's a graveyard down there on that infield. Go send it down there.
add some new bodies to the graveyard down in the infield. That's... Holy cow, what a finish. And he was able to hold off a very hungry Joey Murphy. He used the lap car to his advantage as well, doing our old Polish victory lap around. He's actually going down onto the pit lane around the Olive Graveyard, but holy cow, what a finish. And it came down to fuel strategy and more than half the field being eliminated as he goes to try and find his way to our victory lane. And just Scott, this whole dynamic of the race changed so much. At the beginning of the race, we thought for sure that they might have been able to run pretty much the whole race under green flag conditions with the way they were racing, but then it stepped up. Everyone knew that they had to make moves and they had to do it quick, and the whole race, the dynamic changed.
Oh yeah, didn't it? Boy, didn't it? But that's just the thing about Halloween. You never know what's coming your way next. Trick or treat, give me something good to eat. How about 4 good years that have been burned through all 4 of those things? How about that pumpkin line? Well, it wasn't necessary. It wasn't needed in the last phases of the race. And, well, I mean, the viewers, you voted for that rule. I would have liked to see a few more drivers take to it.
Yeah, no one elected to use it tonight, thinking that it was easier and safer to be up on the racing surface. And when you think about it, that might have been why Joey Murphy didn't do it, knowing that, you know, it might have been a case where if the rule was you didn't have to let the guy back up, so Murphy, knowing that, might have said, okay, well, if I can't come back up, then I'm not going to even try to force the issue and go back down. Your top 3 is going to be Dylan Poteet, Joey Murphy, and Jeremy Jeffries, who I don't think that we mentioned him tonight, but we haven't really been able to see what he could really do. He was just kind of running around in the top 10 all night, but he gets a solid 3rd place finish. Bob Simonera will fall into 5th place. And just look at the finishing order rolling across the top of your screen. A fantastic run down to the line. We're actually going to see if we can get some of these drivers' views of the race. We're going to start with our 3rd place driver, which would be Jeremy Jeffries. Hey, Jeremy, it is Anthony and Scott in the FRN booth. You got us.
I do. How you guys doing?
Well, we're doing great. It was a great treat for us tonight to get to watch you guys on the day before Halloween. But down there on the racetrack, it certainly looked like the dynamic of the race had changed throughout the night. How was this 2021 Hallowdega from your perspective?
Tricky, very tricky, which I guess is fitting. I got a nice little treat for the finish here, but man, it was grueling. That bottom line was fun, but it was scary.
I mean, not an easy race by any stretch of the imagination, and in no part made any easier by all of those cautions that we strung it out. It was about getting to pit road at the right time. We saw so many guys tonight just run out of fuel. I mean, what were you thinking those last few cautions? When did you make the decision to come? When did you make the decision to stay out?
Once I could make it, I had planned on staying out, but then I got involved in that big wreck that took out about half the field. So I had to come in and get damage fixed, and I just took 4 tires and fuel, and I was good to go for the last few laps there.
Now, the special rules that were added into this race to make it a bit more exciting for the fans, but really just to throw a wrench into the driver's strategies, where the fans got to vote on some rule changes. And at the last stage, the rule change was that you could use the inside or below the orange line. So, did anybody even want to go down there with the rule being that the drivers didn't necessarily have to let you back onto the racetrack? Was that enough to dismay drivers from wanting to try out that extreme inside line?
I don't think anybody was going to voluntarily go down. It was so treacherous. The closer you got to that orange line, the worse your car drove, and I don't know if you entered the corner down there if you were going to make it back up without wrecking.
Well, it was certainly a sweet day for some, and you end up in a third place position on the podium tonight. Congratulations on your third place victory. It almost does seem like a victory sometimes. So
Hey, I made it to the end. That was a victory.
yeah, making it to the end of these races can be a bit challenging, and you made it into the podium. So congratulations. Before we let you go, though, we want to give you the floor for any thank you sponsors and shout outs.
Oh gosh, thanks to NNSCRA for putting this on, Seth, and his work on this, and Flatout for broadcasting. Appreciate it. You guys do a great job every time. I love being a part of the broadcast, and I love watching them. Also to Rolling Thunder Gaming, RTG, it's my home league there, and had quite a few guys in there. We worked together quite a bit, but at the end, most of them were gone, so I was kind of solo. But it was a fun race, and yeah, just thanks to everybody who put this on and got it going, and made it so much fun.
It was fun watching you with the RTG boys out there trying to work together, and we hope to see you again next year for Hallowdega 2022. And until then, enjoy your third place.
All right, happy Halloween, guys.
And now we're going to get our second place finisher in the booth. He was trying to get another victory tonight, but just fell up short. That would be Joey Murphy. Hey, Joey, it's Anthony and Scott in the FRN booth. You got us.
Yes.
Well, it was a bit of an intense race. You had some ups and downs tonight, and you came in with a bit more weight on your shoulders. Given that you had won a race previously back in 2016, you were trying to go for the first to be a multi-time winner of this event. What was the strategy going into this race, and how was the overall race tonight?
Well, strategy was just kind of hang around in the back early. I had to start dead last basically because of I didn't qualify. So it was hang around in the back early. I got into some incidents. Kind of got lucky there right at the very end. It got intense, and I made it barely slip through that big one. Got a little bit of contact with the wall, but it wasn't enough to hurt the car. And yeah, I was gonna maybe make a move on Poteet coming out of 4 there, and then the run behind me broke up, and I had no help coming to the line. So good win to him. I'm just glad I survived, really. It was a tight race all day.
I mean, ghosts of Talladega race come back to haunt you tonight. I mean, it nearly looked like with the wall of smoke going up there that it was kind of like walking into a zombie apocalypse with the big one there at the end.
Yeah, no, I just held my breath and saw a little bit of a gap and barely got clipped, and it was enough to send me to the wall. But like I said, I didn't end up like a majority of the cars who were destroyed and didn't have a chance at fighting for the win there.
Yeah, there were certainly a lot of cars made an early exit after the restart shenanigans that we saw, and then the big one coming just after the start finish straight, setting us up with about 24 drivers left and half the field severely damaged. But I want to get an interesting take, and I asked our previous driver this same question, but I want to see you because you were the one in this position. Did you ever think about going below the orange line? Because the rule was voted by the fans that you could have done that, but we all know that it's not a guarantee that you would have gotten back on the racetrack.
Yeah, that's I thought about it when I got 2 seconds into turn 1 there, that I was going to maybe do it right down the back straightaway. And then with the run and everything I had, I wasn't going to make it till late on the back straightaway if I did anything. So if I ended up going down there, I just took the lesser of two evils and didn't go below, because if I did, I felt like I was going to then possibly take out myself and Poteet and just give away the win to the third place car. The yellow line was so loose around it that like you had to stay above it in the corners, otherwise you were gone.
Yeah, we did see a lot of drivers that ended up causing some crashes because they got on the apron. So, good call on your part. And for a damaged car, you got into second place. So, congratulations on that. Surviving this race, as stated before, was kind of the goal for a lot of these drivers, but the roulette wheel of Hallowdega. But again, congratulations on your second place position. And before we let you go, we want to give you a time to thank anyone, thank some sponsors, thank some shout outs.
I guess it was kind of a last minute deal. Basically, thank Seth for putting on a good race. I mean, it was fun. It was a blast to be a part of. Getting some incidents, but I mean, nearly a 40 car field, nothing. It doesn't get much more fun than that in NR anymore. And I don't usually race in car fields of 15 to 20, so that was great.
Well, that is Joey Murphy, second place tonight. We'll hope to see you again next year for Hallowdega 2022, and you can go for a second win then as well.
All right, thank you.
And now we're going to get our winner of tonight's race in the booth. Dylan Poteet finally gets it done at Hallowdega. Hey, Dylan, it is Anthony and Scott up in the FRM booth. You got us.
Yeah, I got you guys.
Well, I can tell that you're pretty excited for this win. It was definitely kind of scary when that big crash happened in front of you, but you're able to get through that. Walk us through the race tonight. What did you have to do in order to get this victory?
I don't even know where to start. I had a very eventful race. You guys probably didn't see me very much at the front. The plan was just to kind of stick around and just be there toward the end. Didn't really make it that pretty. I got spun coming to pit road under green on the first stop. I got put into a wreck, sort of, in 3. About caused a wreck on a restart after we got the no yellow line rule. And then somehow, some way, ended up missing the big wreck in 1 and 2. That I don't even know how I still missed that. And then found myself in the top 5 and was like, wow, I have a chance to win this. And it presented itself, and here we are. I don't know how.
So, Poteet, my big question is, why are you so good at all these special events nowadays? I mean, you won Christmas in July, you won Hallowdega.
I think this is the 3rd thing I've won in a row.
Yeah,
I think I won the Christmas Miracle, the Christmas in July, and then this. I have no idea. I thought the same thing. I didn't think I was winning this one before. You heard me even say it. I wasn't going to win tonight. There's no chance, and I don't know what to say. Like it just happened.
Yeah, it was incredible to watch you. And yeah, you were right. We didn't see much of you at the front, but you were at the front when it mattered. And I've been around you long enough to know that don't count out Dylan Poteet. He will find his way to the front of the field eventually. But that last lap, having to defend Joey Murphy, and Joey Murphy came in with a lot of weight on his shoulders. He was trying to go for a second win. Being one of the only drivers that in the field that was going for a second Hallowdega win. Bob Simonera also was going for back-to-back wins, and he showed a lot of speed, and you had to get around him. What was it like having these drivers around you that had so much gunning for their individual efforts that had to get around at the last minute and avoid wrecks while doing it?
Yeah, we were aware about Bob. He was the defending winner, and then Joey had won it previously. I actually forgotten that he'd won one of these too, but a lot changed, especially after I saw Joey in my mirror, because I worked with Tristan, and I told him on a whisper that I was wanting to work with him, and we wanted to get around Bob. And I found a couple of our guys that we raced together with, because I know that the field was pretty split with some of the guys from there and over here with this side. And like I said, once Tristan made the move, I wanted to go with him. And like I said, I told the others, I was surprised that the spot where I got inside of Tristan actually presented itself, because I was planning on making a move later on the lap. And Joey had a run on me, and Tristan kind of didn't protect the bottom all the way, so I stuck my nose in there, and then we almost wrecked going to 1, and we both kind of talked about it. We kind of both, with the bottom kind of pushing down, that's why we kind of made contact there. I'm glad he didn't wreck. And And then I was just kind of worried about the backstretch with the yellow line not being a rule. I was waiting for that to happen, and it never did. But there was kind of a risk anyway, because we all thought nobody would let anybody back up. So, all in all, just happy for this. Can't believe I won this. I want to thank Seth for putting this together and making this car as well. And he's mad at me because he's had to make a shirt for me again. So that was the big thing. That's the first thing he said is, Dylan, I have to make you another shirt. I cannot believe this. And I was like, it's technically your creation. You get to see it come to life. So there's that. It's like part of you. But yeah, it was an eventful race. I'm glad to be a part of it. I always enjoy these races, and it's just, I don't know what to say. Thanks Joey and the 8 car. They all helped right there at the end. Jeremy Jeffries, I almost forgot his name, but appreciate those guys helping at the end. And my teammates that I was working with that unfortunately wrecked out, but it was just a matter of finding the right people at the right time and getting lucky in a couple of those wrecks. So it was definitely an experience.
Well, congratulations on your victory tonight, taking Hallowdega 2021. We hope to see you again in 2022. I'm sure we will, trying to defend your win tonight. And I was going to ask you before you went if you would do some thank yous and such, but I think you've already gotten that covered. So once again, congratulations, and hope to see you all again for 2022.
Definitely. Can't wait to see you guys then. I plan to be back, and happy Halloween, everybody. Have a great night.
Well, hi, Matt. Welcome to the booth. I see I've lost Scott. So,
You lost to Scott, but you gained the Seth. Or sorry, you lost to Scott, but you gained me.
I did gain a Matt. So that's,
I don't know if that's a good trade.
Well, it is a trade. And I want to ask you, since you're here, I noticed that you and Seth were having some shenanigans at the back of the pack pretty much all night. Why were you so far back at the beginning of the race?
Actually, I was experiencing kind of electrical and technical issues. My 100% racing controller ended up having some wire issues. And I was trying to keep limping it around, and I ended up swapping around different stuff, trying to make it better to use. But what I had to do is I had to go dig through my big box of cables and go find a replacement. And unfortunately, that cost me about 10, 15 laps.
That makes sense. Well, you and Seth certainly look you were having some fun at the back. It was certainly entertaining to watch you two have some shenanigans. But while I got you here, want another question for you. Is that the rule changes in this race? Well, it was kind of early grave for some of these drivers. Do you think that there's going to be some more spooky additions added to some of these other special races that are put on, not just NNSCRA, but do you think that maybe this is going to be a phenomenon where crowd controlled rule changes are going to be a thing?
I'm not quite sure. I mean, I definitely like it for Hallowdega. It definitely added a kind of a new element onto this race from what we saw. Obviously, having the ability of, that's just whole game changers of everyone being able to go down full speed pit road. I mean, even having that as an option, that's scary enough. But knowing the kind of additions and how much that would change the race of guys who just aren't confident going on the pit road. I mean, listen, there's guys who will go on the pit road 15 miles an hour under pace speed, and that's not good. Versus the guys who I know if they were given a chance, they would hound it on this pit road, and they would just fly down there. So it flip flops. I think it's a good addition.
Well, Matt, congratulations on surviving for most of the race, and again, I guess that since you're my co now, any last thoughts before we send the audience off to another race I think that's happening right now?
I think it's really going to end up being a little bit of this race. I think was eye-opening for some, just because again we have kind of a unique situation here where we have guys from RTG coming over, which is a whole different organization, does stuff a lot differently than is run here, and then we have the regular guys who we see all via all the leagues that are run here at the core. And then, we have completely different names. I mean, I saw about 3 or 4 guys that I have never seen before in my life. I've never heard their names before in my life. And then a few guys who they just randomly show up. Then we had Zach Buchanan show up at the 500. And it's just these guys that, it's kind of a mash of personalities. Not everyone's going to get along with each other. I heard it all night where there's just guys who are completely angry with each other. I think we actually ended up making up a whole bingo sheet of just complaints and everything that everyone had, and we're going to end up making it for the Christmas Miracle race. But that just shows you how much some of these guys mesh and how much some of these guys don't mesh. And I think that's really going to change the outcome of the future races.
Well, it was a successful NNSCRA Hallowdega 2021 event, and can't wait to see Christmas Miracle coming up very soon. Our next NNSCRA special event here on the Flatout Racing Network. But Matt, I guess we've come to the end of our race. We have, everything's tied up. Dylan Poteet is our champion for tonight, and we'll go into 2022 as our defending winner. We want to thank everybody for watching tonight on the Flatout Racing Network. But if you still have some racing itches that you need scratched, we got the FTF Grand National Series running right now on the Flatout Racing Network as well. They are about a little ways into their Martinsville race. I believe it's the penultimate race of the season. So a lot of weight behind that as well. But for Matthew Rodriguez, Scott Rankin, and myself, Anthony McCurry, we want to thank you all for being with us tonight. And Matt, thanks for joining me, even though it was very short.
Always enjoy talking with you.
We'll see you guys next year for the Hallowdega event, but don't go anywhere. We've got plenty of NNSCRA special events still to come in between this and the next one, and we have plenty more racing on the Flatout Racing Network. For Anthony McCurry and all, I'll see you all later, and we'll have a great race of your night.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.